All right, welcome in. Wednesday, June 25th. Jox 94.5, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Good to be with you. Probably a slow morning for everybody since 80% of Birmingham was at the Coca-Cola Amphitheater last night. I didn't make it. You, Greg?
Not there.
Not there.
Early to bed, early to rise.
I wish that was the way
Dave
it was for me.
in town.
I wish it was early to bed. For some reason, I can't figure out a way to do it.
Oh, you're on first name basis with old Dave?
Dave.
Gotcha.
D-Matt is his old name, but now that he's grown up.
Gotcha.
I was telling all my boys that were going last night, I was like, look, man, I like Dave too. I just hope because I'm not going to the concert, he only plays his new stuff. I just want you to have access to the new stuff. You've probably heard Ants Marching. Probably heard Crash.
I don't know what that is.
But,
So I can answer pretty quiet.
well, you know, it's a song.
Oh, I did see our boss at dinner last night before he went.
He's a music guy and a foodie.
Foodie. Why would you say that just because I saw him at dinner? He shouldn't eat?
No. If you like fish, you're probably a foodie. If you like music, if you like Dave Matthews, I think it's a safe bet. You like good food. Like, I got no problem with that. I like Dave Matthews. So
What are you talking about? If you like Dave Matthews, you like good food?
yeah, I think it's a safe bet.
What bands would someone like that would lead you to think that they like bad food?
Pantera.
Yeah. Probably. That's Crystal for lunch.
AC/DC.
All right. Matt Zenitz is going to join us on the Higginbotham hotline because it's the only time he could be with us. He has some other things going on today. There's a lot of things that I want to get to you with first. But start with this. This Sacramento State situation, and I know a lot of our listeners don't know what it is or what's happening or how it's probably gotten to where it is, but I feel like it's semi-fascinating because it's a school, a program that didn't exist a few years ago. Nobody had ever heard of until maybe earlier this year. They go hire one of the best offensive coordinators in college football to be their head coach. That comes with a little bit of drama. Then they're going to a conference, not going to a conference, moving to FBS. Then they're not going to be allowed to move to FBS. What is happening with this program right now, and how are they making some of these things happen?
Well, first of all, good morning to you guys. Secondly, to follow up on what Cole said, so Sacramento State brought in Brendan Marion, who has been an assistant at some prominent places like Texas as receivers coach there with guys like Xavier Worthy, then made the move to UNLV where he was Barry Odom's OC there and contributed to the success that they had at UNLV under Barry, makes the move to Sacramento State with the expectation that they will be making the move to FBS in the near future. And now, as of yesterday, they hit seemingly the latest roadblock with that, with their waiver request being denied to make that move, with the main reasoning being that the NCAA doesn't want them coming in as an independent because that could then open the door for a number of other teams trying to make the same kind of move and creating essentially a pain in the neck situation when it comes to that. But this doesn't seem like it's over yet for Sacramento State. So there are some things in the works right now, just talking to Brennan some last night that he didn't want to go into specifics on, that I was able to get some additional intel on my end coming out of that conversation. But it seems like there are a couple conferences at the FBS level that have interest in Sacramento State and maybe even meeting in the near future to discuss potentially inviting them to those conferences. So by no means am I saying that's 100% going to happen, but it does sound like some of those conversations are taking place, potentially even as soon as this week.
So looking at some of the other things surrounding this, they've put together a, quote, SAC-12, which is an organization dedicated to raising the athletic department's profile to a point where it can earn a Pac-12 invitation in the future. They secured $50 million in NIL commitments. That's, I think, pretty impressive. But I look at still some of the other hurdles that they were hoping to get over, a stadium that can seat 25,000 people. Well, Texas high schools have that. Well, it doesn't seem like the other hurdles would necessarily warrant inclusion in the Pac-12. Am I missing something?
There's still a level of unknown with all of this, and those are fair points that you bring up. The main thing to know with them is just, again, when Brennan Marion was first hired there was an expectation in place that they would be in position to make that move in the near future. That's something that's been a selling point, as I'm sure you can imagine, with recruits, including a high-profile one at the quarterback position that they added this offseason, and Jaden Rashada, that people around the college football world I obviously familiar with. And even with the ruling being what it was yesterday, there is, I can tell you, a lot of confidence on the Sacramento State side that they will be making that move in the near future, even with that waiver request denial yesterday.
Take our listeners, Matt, through some of the people they've gotten involved in this program to be able to help. Shaq is like, what, the GM of the basketball program or something? Like, who all have they lined up to sort of assist and be able to help raise that profile?
It's interesting times in Sacramento State right now. So you have what we've talked about with the football program, that they brought in a long-time college football assistant and former P4 head coach Tim Brewster. Yesterday as a senior associate head coach, has been a head coach in Minnesota, and then an assistant at places like Florida State, Florida, Texas A&M, has worked in the NFL, has some other veteran-type figures to go along with that. But then you look at the basketball side, and you have a well-known former NBA player in Mike Bibby, who has, like you mentioned, Shaq in there as his GM or whatever Shaq's title is. I think Shaq's son, who was a former top recruit at one point, is part of the basketball team. So there's some interesting things going on there just in the athletic department as a whole at Sacramento State. The only thing that they're missing right now is just finding a way to get Cole Cubelic there in some capacity, but we'll see if they can afford Cole.
Probably not.
Can't.
No, that's not going to happen.
Not with those taxes.
No.
Not real estate.
Yes, that's definitely the problem. I just don't see Cat thriving in Sacramento. But what do I know? What other teams? I know Sacramento State's the one in the headlines right now, but what other teams are on the short list for the Pac-12 in the event in which they could expand further? I know there have been a few that have said yes, or a bunch that have said yes, some that have said no. I know Texas State's next man up. That should get them to 8, but I think they'll probably expand beyond that. Who knows? But how do you kind of evaluate who's up next for the Pac-12?
Really, the two primary ones that keep an eye on right now on my end are Texas State and Sacramento State. So Texas State, as of last week, there was no update of significance. That was something that it checked in on, not only last week, but really within the last few days, and there was nothing new of substance there. And then the Sacramento State situation, obviously, to go along with that, where not only could the Pac-12 maybe be a possibility, but possibly something like the Mountain West could be worth keeping an eye on also as a place that could make sense for them, even though, again, just to be clear, that there's nothing set in stone by any means.
Matt Zenitz is joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline, kicking off the show the right way today with somebody who actually knows what he's talking about. I'm going to take a complete left turn here. There's no way really to transition into Bryce Underwood at Michigan. You had a little write-up on him about a week ago. It feels like this is a little bit all over the map. Now, everybody's excited. Everybody thinks that the potential is there, but some folks saying, all right, not going to be ready. Then you see the Jake Garcia move. Then other people saying, no. Everybody loves what they've seen so far. This looks like it's going about as smooth as it could be. Where is this quarterback situation for Michigan right now? We know what this young man is capable of, or at least we think we do. I mean, we've watched some highlights. I guess that's about it. And we know how big he is. But what is really happening as far as the possibility of him maybe not even being the starter week 1, but just being in contention for it and then maybe being that at some point in time this season?
He's fully in line to be the starter week 1. He's doing that well behind the scenes, has done that well since he got there, has been as advertised, and that's coming from people that have been around him on a daily basis since he got there to campus. They are extremely pleased with him, and he is the clear favorite, and use the word clear twice on purpose. They're the clear favorite to be the starting quarterback for them at this point. With Jake Garcia, Jake was brought in as nothing more than a depth piece, just to add another body to that quarterback room and somebody who has been around for a while that maybe Bryce can learn from to go along with Mikey Keene that they added this offseason. But Mikey, who looked to be the primary competition for Bryce, has dealt with some injury stuff that set him back. At the same time, Bryce has continued to do well. And if you were putting betting odds on it right now, Bryce would be deserving of, I'll just say, far and away the best odds to be Michigan's starting quarterback when they open the season.
Is Michigan going to be a team that might contend, do you think, based on the performance we're expecting from him?
As you guys know, anytime you have a freshman quarterback, regardless of how talented they are, there are going to be growing pains that come along with that. So I don't know if I'm ready to say that Michigan's going to be a Big Ten title top contender this year or competing for a national title this season. But when you have a young quarterback that talented and some of the other young up-and-coming pieces that they do around him, it bodes well for them moving forward into the future, even if they're not necessarily competing for a national title year one with Bryce as their quarterback. They feel really good just about the outlook of the program moving forward with not only Bryce, but some of the other pieces that they have, including a transfer from Alabama that they continue to rave about, and Justice Haynes, who had some success at Alabama, obviously, former top recruit. He has done extremely, extremely well, and they at Michigan continue to rave just about what he's done behind the scenes since he got there, and they're fully expecting a huge year from him at the running back position.
All right, Matt Zenitz with us on the Higginbotham Hotline. I know you don't have much more time. There's been a lot of people working in front offices of college athletic programs that are getting jobs in the NFL. You've reported on multiple of these in the last 2 weeks. I think most of us thought this would work the other way around, that colleges will be rating NFL front offices, and I know not a lot of NFL guys want to go back and work in college, but are you surprised at how many sort of front office types at the collegiate level are now getting NFL jobs, and maybe that it's not working in reverse? And add to that, who are you hearing about that's doing this right, that has this figured out, sort of the front office portion, the player personnel portion, the executive portion of the new college football?
So first of all, not surprised, and you're seeing it go both ways. So you're seeing some people in the front office world that are making the move from the college level to the NFL level, but at the same time, you're seeing people making the move from the NFL space to the college space, or like the Jim Nagy's of the world that leave his post, the leader of what they were doing at the Senior Bowl, to go and be the GM at Oklahoma. So to me, it is similar to really what we've seen in recent years, whether it's been with coaches or people in the front office and personnel space, that there's obviously an interest for guys in the college world to make the move to the NFL space, but that at the same time, that there are always going to be people that make the move from the NFL world to the college world also. And I think you're going to see more and more of that component of it moving forward, especially when it comes to some of these GM-type roles, that there is no lack of awareness in the NFL space of just what some of those money numbers are. And frankly, unless you're in one of the top couple spots in an NFL front office, you're capable of making more as a college GM, especially at some of these top places, than you are in even some respected positions in NFL front offices. So that's something that we've seen some this all season, including Mike Martin making the move from the Lions to go to be the GM at Notre Dame, and that's something they fully expect to continue to see moving forward, even though, as I said, that there's always going to be interest for coaches, front office people, personnel staffers at the college level to make that move to the NFL, just because the NFL is still the NFL at the same time. And I don't think that interest is going away, even though, not to be repetitive, I feel like you'll continue to see this go both ways.
Matt, appreciate the time. Get the kids to camp. Always enjoy you giving us your information here on the show. We'll do it again soon.
Appreciate you guys, and look forward to seeing if Sacramento State, most importantly, can come up with that money to get you and that maybe even Greg. I don't know what it would take financially for Greg to get out to Sacramento, but
not happening. I'm not a NorCal guy.
More than $50 million. I promise you that.
SoCal. If we're going west, we're going SoCal. No Sacramento.
Can respect that. Appreciate you guys, though.
I've got family near Sacramento, Redding, California. That's
cool.
It might be something we think about.
A lot
Take
of people,
a trip to the Redwood Forest there, and
a lot of people do.
Kind of, yeah. I haven't been to Sacramento.
Now you're not missing much.
I think I may have had to fly in there at one point.
Might have.
To go somewhere else.
As often as you go to Napa, it would make sense. It would check out. Big wine guy.
I think I've been to Napa once.
I've never been, so you're one more than me.
Well, when your father grows up in the beverage business and has those kind of contacts, it makes sense to go out there one time and utilize that and go see the people. See what it's all about.
You're just exercising your privilege. I get it. I understand that.
What was the movie when everybody all of a sudden wanted to go out there? When the guys were riding around?
Yeah, Sideways.
That's it. Yeah. Everybody was a big Napa guy after that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And not the auto parts place. That's not what we're talking about.
No,
we're not talking about
not
mufflers.
No.
Don't need new windshield wipers. That's not what we're talking about.
Napa Auto Repair does windshield wipers?
They do all of it.
Wow.
Oil change.
One-stop shop.
Tires.
Freebie here on the
fan
show.
belt.
Freebie. You trying to get
you need a new handle to roll your window up?
That's cool.
Got that for your 84 Datsun. They got that.
Big fan of the Datsuns.
Oh, those things are
Datsuns are back. Those things are sweet.
All right, Matt brought up something interesting, an interesting name that has moved on. His former employer has some pretty big news in the college football world. We'll tell you what that is on the other side. And Greg was complaining about it before the show started today, but that Alabama heat and humidity can be absolutely brutal. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable train cooling system. If they'd have had this at Greg's kids' swim meet yesterday, he wouldn't have had a problem.
No.
They've been recognized America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. They're official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at train.com. It's hard to stop a train. We'll tell you some news out of the Senior Bowl next on Mac and Cubes in the morning. The Senior Bowl has a new sponsor. Panini, trading card company, going to be the new title sponsor.
Did
So it'll
you
be
get-
the
did you get a-
Panini
did you get
Senior
a
Bowl.
pack from him?
I did. Not
Oh.
a pack. I got like a gift box.
Ooh.
Did you get it?
Oh yeah,
Sweet, man.
it's super sweet. I'm keeping the Prism card.
Yeah, you are.
The
Look
hat,
at you knowing about cards.
Well, it's,
You make fun of them, and now you know.
well, it's
Little
a
Prism.
no. I think collecting Pokemon cards like you do is dumb. So that doesn't make me. I'm not making fun of all cards. I'm just making fun of people that like the didgeridoo
Didgeridoo?
didgeridoo plus.
Who's that? What is that?
That's like the top one.
Oh, do you know what else is back that's dumber than Pokemon?
Oh God! Good luck being able to explain this one because there's nothing in my eyes that's dumber. Than
Oh,
Pokemon.
there it is. It may have been a smidge before your time, and you may not have caught them when they were
Pogs.
actually out. Garbage Pail Kid cards.
I don't know what that is.
You don't remember these?
No.
You got to go. Well, you just Google a picture of these and like read some of them. It is literally the dumbest thing that's ever hit our universe.
Garbage kids cards. Hang on.
Garbage Pail Kids, and they had. I think they started out with like dolls, and then they became
All right.
cards, and it's just the most despicable,
What is this?
dumb. I'm gonna just tell you, like the late elementary school, middle school boys in the late '80s, early '90s thought these things were hilarious. I don't think I
They
ever
are
thought they
kind
were
of-
funny,
They
and
are kind of funny.
and now they're back. Seriously, they're back,
They're legit the dumbest thing.
and people are into them. And I just don't know why you want like Toilet John or whatever it is, and his
Jason
like he walks.
Basin.
What is it?
It's Jason Basin.
Yeah.
It's so dumb.
Bug
It's
bird.
Jinky
literally
Jeff.
the dumbest thing you could ever imagine.
What about this? What about this guy's son Bernie? And he's just sunburned. I mean, these are.
They did do some.
Really
They
dumb.
did some sports ones like a year ago. So they had like
Yes,
Paul
I just
Skeens
pulled one
on
up.
there.
They got Paul Skeens. They got parroted Paul.
It's so dumb.
It's ridiculous.
Nobody needs
Some of these
that
are
in their life.
inappropriate for nowadays. Just saying.
Nowadays. Any days.
Right.
Well, I mean, just in the current climate, like I wouldn't own in some of these things.
So Drew Fabianich, the new Senior Bowl director, is going to join us at 9:00 this morning. Talk about that new partnership with Panini, which is going to be really cool for them. I feel like it's a great fit, and what the future may hold for the Senior Bowl, as Matt Zenitz mentioned them in our previous segment. Also, Michael Kirby tweeted into the show at Mac and Cube. Didn't Sacramento State hire former Birmingham Stallions executive in the athletic department? They did. And that was actually a pretty big hire because there are a lot of folks that were very high on Zach Potter and what he was doing here in Birmingham and just how smart he was and some of the things he was putting together. So that was actually a really big get for Sacramento State. Greg, I don't know how they're doing this, but it is a literal all-star roster of just people involved in their athletic department. So seeing that they are at least having opportunities to move up quickly, it's not a big surprise based on some of the names they've been able to attract. I still
Right.
just don't know exactly how they're doing it.
Maybe it's. I really don't know. I'm not sure if there's some type of charitable element, if there's some type of connection that Shaq feels to Sacramento for making fun of the Sacramento Kings for so many years. I don't know what it is, but it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I think it's they have a $50 million commitment they were able to raise. That's pretty impressive. For a school they've had success. Like Sacramento State has won games at the FCS level for a long time. They've beaten Power 5 teams. I can remember a couple times where they've gone and played with like Oregon and have made it interesting against Oregon and other teams like that. So it's not something that I don't know. It's not something that is insurmountable that they can all of a sudden be competitive, but it is kind of amazing that they're able to generate the buzz that they're generating. I mean, to Shaq, even if he has no responsibility whatsoever, for them to be allowed to use his name, image, and likeness to promote their program is pretty remarkable. It
There's
really
no
is.
doubt. And actually, Greg Hendricks brings up a good point. He tweets in, they started out as Cabbage Patch Kids. This was the Cabbage Patch Kids took over America. They were the toy that moms were literally running over each other to get into Toys R Us and go get lines at 3 a.m. This is before they opened at midnight
Yeah.
for Black Friday. And, people would be elbowing each other in there and like checking them into the boards to go get Susie Q, Cabbage Patch Kid, whatever it was. And this was the response for, I guess, all the boys is that the girls have Cabbage Patch Kids. We get these stupid cards. And it ruined America. I'm gonna hold Garbage Pail
Ruined
Kids
America.
individually responsible for ruining our country.
We're at a
Ruined.
point. Well, I do think that when people say, look how bad it's gotten, look at how disturbed the youth of America is. Just look at Garbage Pail Kids.
There you go.
It
We
was
tried to
bad.
blame
It was
Eminem.
bad.
We tried to blame Marilyn Manson. We
It-
tried to blame Call of Duty. And little did we know, it was right there in front of our face the entire time. It was Garbage Pail Kids.
It was
It
was
ruined
just
all
the
of us.
beginning of the end.
That was it.
Like the decline was indicated there late 80s, early 90s. Like that, you can just acknowledge that.
It wasn't
just the
Alice
reality.
Cooper. It was Garbage Pail Kids that did this.
By the way, can we just for a moment, speaking of Alice Cooper, and this was the most random thing ever the other day. If I were to give you like 17 options for what Alice Cooper does for 1 hour a week, like what would be at or near the bottom of your list? Like, okay, like Pokemon.
Groom dogs.
This is very close to that. It's like that shocking. Alice Cooper does a 1 hour podcast that is golf. He does a golf podcast.
Oh, he's been a big golf guy for a while.
I did not know this.
Yeah, because I saw pictures of him a long time ago at the was it the AT&T Pro-Am at Pebble Beach?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, I didn't know he'd be invited there. And didn't feel like he'd be on the list. But apparently he's a big golfer.
He
He's
plays
been into
6
it for a long
days a
time.
week and has even said that golf saved his life. He currently does a golf podcast with Rocco Mediate, the mashup you didn't know you needed.
They're correct.
What?
I don't know that I need that.
No, I don't need it. I've never listened to it, and I don't intend to. I just was listening. It's like, hello, I'm Alice Cooper.
What do they talk about? Like
Golf,
stimp meters?
stimp meters,
The what inch cut the mowers are using
double
on the
cut
second
greens.
rough?
Yeah, I think that's definitely it.
The Scotty Cameron putter versus the ping putter? Which one has more bounce?
I just had no idea. And he has a book that says Alice Cooper Golf Monster.
You should read that.
I'm just like amazed. Like I mean, I was
It's cool
so,
for him. It's good, especially if that's something that he
It's
was able to like
amazing. I
refocus
was
into
like-
that helped him. That's awesome.
It's
But
It's incredible. I just never knew he would be into golf. Like I know Alice Cooper best from his Wayne's World cameo.
yeah, I think Alice Cooper is personally responsible for the Live Tour because without him getting into golf, they don't even go this direction. They're playing music and wearing shorts
There you go.
and having DJs and throwing orange juice on each other. I don't think that happens. So it's Alice Cooper's fault, actually, that the PGA Tour was ruined for you guys. If you want to blame somebody, blame him.
It's
Garbage
definitely
Pail
him.
Kids started it. Alice Cooper took it over, and then everything was ruined.
That was it. And then social media.
Somebody texted in.
There was no social media without Garbage Pail Kids. That was social media back then. You gave them a card of somebody, and that was you passed it around, and that was your social media. Look, it's Tommy Toilet, and you're making fun of the kid named Tommy in the class. That was your social media.
Somebody texted in and said the decline of Western civilization, rock and roll, Garbage Pail Kids, slide protection.
That's all.
And
Every facet of life has been ruined by one of those things.
in no particular order there.
No, that's it. We all started that. If you want to pick something that's wrong with this planet, you can trace it back to one of those right there.
It's real easy.
And most of them, slide protection.
Correct. Yep.
Long lines at the concession stand, slide protection. There wouldn't be change of possessions, and people wouldn't be going to the concession stand.
That's
As quarterbacks wouldn't be getting sacked and having the punt. It's y'all's fault. Damn, hurry up, no huddle offense.
That's it. That's definitely what it is. Or, just trying to protect yourself. Like full slide.
Traffic on 65, Garbage Pail Kids. People looking down, not focused on the road.
100%. Rock and roll for sure.
Yeah, that's
Definitely rock and roll. Like when I used to. You ever see the movie? Cole, you might not have seen it. Dewey Cox.
No.
No.
God, it's John C. Reilly. It's probably one of. If I'm not kidding when I say this. It has to be in the top 5 dumbest movies ever, but it's pretty dang funny.
No,
And it's got a
that's
little
a list
bit-
that we need to put together right
And
there.
it's got a little bit.
John
of
C. Reilly, A-list or not A-list?
For a little while there, I think he was. I don't think so though. He's
Considering I have to Google him to see who he is, I'm going to say not
the guy with
A-list.
curly hair that was in Step Brothers alongside Will
Yeah.
Ferrell.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He's A-list.
No,
Excuse me. Let's
Well,
not-
I mean,
he's,
he was.
he's not A-list.
no, he's certainly not
He
A-list.
was.
Gene Hackman, A-list, not A-list.
Not A-list. He's also passed.
We can't have that discussion
You
about
can't
somebody
be-
if they're not
you're
on this earth anymore,
You're not posthumanously
or if they're not in this
whatever.
earth.
I don't even remember what word is that?
Posthumously.
It's not postpartum.
Posthumously.
Postpartum.
I don't know.
Not
I haven't
that
had
one.
enough coffee yet. It's not postpartum. Probably see that. But
You don't think Gene Hackman is? And you hold on. You don't think you can stay A-list after you pass away?
I think it's insanely difficult.
Richard Pryor.
What you're doing right now is you're giving 5-star status in recruiting more credence than being an A-list
If
celebrity.
I
Is what
asked
you're
my
doing.
wife right now to
That's
pick,
what you're doing.
if I asked Meredith to pick Gene Hackman out of a lineup, she could not do it.
DJU 5-star or not?
5-star, duh.
There you go. So you're telling me just because Gene Hackman has left this earth that he's not an A-lister anymore? But you're willing to say that DJU is still a 5-star?
I am saying that Gene Hackman.
Jeremy Johnson, 5-star or not?
Gene Hackman is not known by probably almost a majority of the population. Go text Kit right now. Ask her Gene.
She's
Gene
at
Hackman.
camp. I can't get in touch with her. I haven't seen a picture of her. I haven't heard from her. I don't even know what's going on. It's driving me crazy.
Write her a
I
letter.
thought this would be great, and it's like
mail it.
it's literally driving me up the wall.
Hey, camp, just pushing kids.
I don't
away
know.
from parents. That's it.
I have no idea.
It's definitely what it is.
How do you sit around as a parent and say, as long as we don't hear anything, I guess they're okay?
All right. Anyways,
It doesn't really work for me. Sorry.
back to the original point. How we got on the Gene Hackman diatribe for a moment is beside the point. But there's a movie called Dewey Cox. It's something like that. Walk Hard is what it's called. Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
Walking tall
And there's
with The Rock.
And there's a scene early in the movie. He's in high school, but John C. Reilly is like the same age the whole time. He just says how old he is. He's obviously like a 47-year-old man, but he's like, Dad, I'm 15. I'm trying to figure it out. It's pretty good. There's a bit in the movie where he starts singing the song about like, I want to hold, basically a bubble gum, I want to hold your hand song, kind of like the Beatles. It's literally sounds like that. And the older people in the crowd are like, this is devil's music. Like, it is hysterical. I need to go back and watch that movie here pretty soon.
Yeah, Michael Kirby tweets in, Cabbage Patch Kids were the origins of the Black Friday Christmas riots. I agree. I don't think there was another toy before that. What was the talking bear? These kids won't remember it. There was a bear that you put batteries in and it talked to you.
Tickle Me Elmo.
Same thing,
right?
really, except it was a teddy bear. Teddy Ruxpin. Teddy Ruxpin was the first that I remember of
Is that what the movie Ted was about?
100%.
Yeah.
I have no idea what Ted is.
Do you know anything?
No, I don't. Other than Garbage Pail Kids, Slide
protection.
Protection's not good, and Alice Cooper ruined the world. I do have to follow up on Jamie Bailey's tweet into the show. When did Alice Cooper become British? Because I don't think he is.
He's not. No.
You felt like you needed to add that
I just feel like all rockers are British.
because he's a golf guy.
Yes. We have O-line coach voice, and then we have golf guy, and it's British.
It's all
Every
you need.
single one
Really.
of them.
Yeah, he's from Detroit, Michigan.
Yeah.
It's Rock City. What do you expect?
Yeah.
It is funny. I remember when I was really young, the bands or whatever that people were really, quote, scared of, and Alice Cooper was one of them. And literally all he did is had a snake around his neck and had like black makeup under his eyes. And where he worshiped Satan. And no, it wasn't like he didn't have Josh Reed one eye sticker, but is one eye sticker the dumbest thing that any athlete's ever done? It's
I
up
think
there.
So.
I don't know if the
On field as far as attire.
some of the eye black now is pretty dumb.
Or not getting tattoos on your throwing arm.
That's just
You
that's
don't want to
just
weigh it down.
that's just
practical.
smart.
That's
I
practical.
mean that's having an understanding of your own personal well-being
Yeah. So for those
and allowing yourself to be able to reach your capacity.
for those that are unaware, there has been a player that Cole and I have covered.
It's Devin Leary. I don't care. What is he going to do? Is he not going to come on the
Please
show?
put the name.
We're fine.
Oh, I wasn't gonna say the name.
I
It's all
am.
good.
I'll
I'm
be
not
the
telling-
garbage pail kid of our show.
I'm not telling the story anymore.
Call out Cole.
Dumpster Cole. Oh, gosh.
I'll be okay if Devin Leary's mad at us. We're
Yeah,
good.
You'll be fine.
We're fine because it's true. It's a true story. It's not like we're making it up.
Hmm.
What were some of those other Christmas gifts that people just ruined themselves for?
Nintendo 64 was the hot one.
All the video games, yeah. Like, I mean, I remember PlayStation.
Tickle Me Elmo for sure.
What was the first PlayStation that looked like a spaceship that you could watch DVDs in? What was that, 3?
No, that would have been
People went nuts for
PlayStation
that.
2.
Yeah.
PlayStation 2 was the big one.
People went nuts for that
The
one.
other one that I can
got
remember
Blu-ray.
was the white Power Ranger.
Wow.
Couldn't
Wow.
get that.
Wow.
But he's
I'm
not
glad
wrong.
you continued on that statement, by the way, because if the accidentally somebody would have turned off their radio right there, it sounded really bad.
The white Power Ranger.
Like Clayton Bigsby would have popped up.
You took the Ranger off of that. It was scary hearing it for a
God.
second. It
Jeez.
was
Just
scary
the
hearing it.
emphasis.
See, my head doesn't even go there. Like it doesn't even track.
You didn't
to
grow
that.
up in Alabama. I
It
did.
doesn't track to that point. When the white Power Ranger turned from the green Power Ranger turned to the white Power Ranger, it became like a huge deal. And when you wanted Tommy, you wanted the doll, and you had all the other ones.
Action figure.
I had the other 5. You know, I had Kimberly, I had Zach.
Oh, you had Zach.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Absolutely.
Blue was pretty sweet.
He
No,
was.
wait, was Zach the black Power Ranger? Billy
was.
was the blue. Billy was blue.
Billy was blue.
Okay,
And then
hold on.
who was red?
That would
Jason.
be Jason.
Ralph.
Yeah, Jason.
Hold on
And
a
then
second.
yellow was Aisha, but was also somebody else before Aisha.
Yeah. Trini.
You were the
Trini?
girl that I never had.
Not Trina.
Trini.
And I
Ah.
wanted- Trina was with Trick Daddy.
Good pull.
You don't know nothing. We got 2 things to get to here quickly before we go to break. One, LD Miares tweets into the show. There's actually a photo out there of Coach Bryant and Alice Cooper playing golf together in the newspaper archive somewhere. Need to find that. And then, of course, JB tweets in, y'all really having a hard time finding something to talk about related to sports this morning.
Can we not have
I'm
fun?
sorry. Let's
June
get back
25th.
let's get back to box scores. Hold on. What happened in the WNBA last night, guys? We need to talk about that.
DeWanna Bonner, former Barner, is trying to get away from the fever.
Yeah.
I feel like most people do try to overcome fevers, Greg. Feels intelligent.
She got benched after 3 games.
We're going to preview UFC 317, Topuria and Oliveira. Talk about that one. What else is happening?
Is there a WWE pay-per-view coming up?
SummerSlam's coming up.
like-
pretty
O'Neal
soon.
Cruz got
close.
benched last night. Would you guys like to talk about that?
Yeah, he
How about
did.
the Braves
He-
bullpen? We'll get to
O'Neal
that.
Cruz lost track of the outs. Didn't run out.
O'Neal Cruz hit a ball with like an exit velocity of 172 this year. I ain't taking him out of any games.
Especially when you're the.
Oh, he didn't run a ball out. Yeah, him and the rest of Major League Baseball. Congrats.
He thought there was 2
Who
outs
cares?
and there was 1 out.
What was Shohei just chugging it down the line when he grounds out to the short? No. Stop.
He never grounds out the short.
You're right.
He only hits dingers.
Where do you want us to go? Kyrie to the Mavs, new deal?
New deal, 3 years.
So with that, Porzingis got traded, 3-way trade. Do we
To
need
the
to hit
Hawks.
that when we come
I
back?
didn't realize Atlanta still had a team. That was great.
They're getting, you know, talk about hockey coming back to Atlanta?
Is that accurate?
Maybe.
There's a big.
There's a
push.
graphic.
There's a big push on Southern hockey.
Aaron Rodgers is ready for camp,
By the
guys.
way,
when you talk about
He's
that,
retiring.
Hey,
he
it's
said
a-
this is his last time.
You know, it's a good one. There's a big push for Southern hockey because of the resurgence of the Florida Panthers. Because when I think South, I think Miami.
wait, I know. NCAA 26 has released graphics and things they're going to have in the game. We
Let's
need
go.
to talk about that.
What about stadium entrances? They have that.
Yeah, and Road to Glory. Sorry.
I think I'd rather talk about Garbage Pail Kids than any of those things we just mentioned. But thankfully, the listeners are mad. Back with more next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7:43 a.m. right here on Jox 94.5. Before we get back into Garbage Pail Kids, I'll tell you about Game Day Men's Health. If your health is garbage, they want to help you out. If you're feeling on edge, if you're lacking sleep, if you need energy, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you. It's easy. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com right now. Sign up for that free consultation, free PSA test, free testosterone test, give you a baseline where you are. Maybe weight loss programs. They have multiple, maybe peptides to help with sleep, anti-aging, arthritis, a lot of different ways that they can help you. You're going to save 10% on any service that they offer when you mention Mac and Cube and you walk in the front door. Get all the facts at GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Locker room environment, holistic approach to health and wellness. They just want to help you feel better. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today and sign up for your free consultation. All right, so a couple of the things that we kind of didn't finish on yesterday, we talked about recruiting and Auburn recruiting and how it was kind of heading south a little bit and how things were heading in the wrong direction. I have good news, Greg. Auburn recruiting is back.
Look at you.
Auburn recruiting is back, and for a lot of reasons. I have been re-energized with Auburn recruiting because of their latest commitment. First, I'm going to let you hear it before we actually discuss it. This is from the NFL Academy Asia Pacific yesterday.
Yes.
You didn't get that clip?
No, I did.
Great. Okay. We don't have the clip, so we won't hear it. But Nikau Hepi has committed to Auburn from New Zealand, a product of the NFL Academy Asia Pacific. You ready for this?
Yes.
6'7", 370.
Look at me.
I'm sorry?
Look at me.
Say what?
Look at me.
Do what?
Look at me.
Where?
Look at me.
6'7", 370. He's a 3-star, ranked in the 800s. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He's the first New Zealander to ever commit to Auburn. I know you're very surprised at that.
How
What?
big?
6'7", 370.
Look how big.
6'7", 6'7", 370.
Look how big.
I'm a fan. I'm in. I'm 100% in on this. Let's go. Give me all the people movers you can find.
Everything.
If we're not getting them from like Ripley, Mississippi, then let's just go to New Zealand and get some people that can move some bodies. I love this strategy.
You love it?
I love it. And by the way, first name, Nikau. It's got NIL written all over it.
See?
Just saying.
It's in the name.
It's a perfect marriage. New Zealand and Auburn.
It's in his blood.
Well, and when you do hear it, you're going to understand exactly why I'm a big fan of it, because he actually gets it right. He actually has an understanding of how it's supposed to be said. So Auburn recruiting is back, Greg. I don't know if you knew that or not, but we're back. We're back.
That's great to know. I'm unfamiliar. Have you watched the tape?
I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. I couldn't find any, but I don't really care because all that matters is 6'7", 370. 6'7", 370. We'll let you hear it next. Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Greg Skipworth tweeting in, fans are getting upset, worried about three-star signings, but as a result of the House settlement, teams will have more of those moving forward. How is the House settlement affecting recruiting? We're going to ask Rodney Nabulsi, who covers the Georgia Bulldogs, in our next segment about that, because obviously Georgia's getting some things right. Flipped a couple of kids from other schools to get their commitments there. What's it changing? How is Kirby Smart acclimating to it? What's different about the recruiting landscape? First, Greg, tell our listeners about Bromberg's.
Well, Bromberg's been my go-to for a very long time, buying priceless items that hopefully will be in our family for multiple generations. So what I love about going to Bromberg's, just the timeless selection, the sheer quantity of the selection, and so many different things that they can do to just make that experience of buying something that you might not know that much about and kind of pointing you in the right direction, giving you options, giving you alternatives, making sure that you fully understand what it is you're buying is something that I always greatly appreciate when I deal with the wonderful people at Bromberg's. Highly recommend going and checking them out. Those raw natural diamonds are beautiful. Those gold jewelry, silver jewelry, platinum jewelry, they have it all. And you can go check it out at Bromberg's in Mountain Brook Village and at the Summit.
Also, Michael Kirby tweeting in, you guys did bring up John C. Reilly. You could discuss NASCAR since he was in Tom Cruise's pit crew in Days of Thunder and drove in Talladega Nights. I did not know he was in Days of Thunder.
I didn't either. But I've only seen that movie probably once.
That's one of those movies that if it's on like TNT or something and I'm just sitting in my hotel room, I'll leave it on.
Yeah.
If I see it, I'll flip to it.
I mean, it has been a while. I mean, a long time.
John C. Reilly, Buck Brethren. Had no clue.
I'm trying to think of the last time I probably watched that. I mean, it has been a minute.
Well, back to sports, since we mentioned Ellie De La Cruz running out ground balls and other players that do or do not. Did you guys know Ellie De La Cruz this month passed Tony Gwynn in career strikeouts?
I did not know that.
Yes.
That's amazing.
Gwynn played 2,440 games in his career and struck out 434 times.
Will that ever be broken?
Oh, I'm glad you brought that up because I have a list that Feinbaum used the other day of college football records that may never be broken. I wanted to get to. De La Cruz has played in 319 games and has passed Tony Gwynn. He almost did it in fewer games than Gwynn has strikeouts. Well, actually, he did, yeah. 434 strikeouts. Gwynn passed him in 319 games. Or Ellie De La Cruz passed Gwynn in 319 games. I think Tony Gwynn is one of the most underrated professional athletes all time. Dude was, when you just, like, it's kind of like Greg Maddox. When you dial into some of those numbers and really break them down, it's just more mind-boggling the further you go down that rabbit hole. It's unbelievable.
I can't even imagine.
Do we have Nikai Heppy committing to Auburn? Please, can we get back to Auburn in sports?
Goodness gracious.
Nailed it. Got it. Dropping the War Eagle, too. I mean, this kid, like, he's ready to go.
He's a pro's pro.
And I know what you guys are thinking out there. Listen to that. He's 6'7", 330. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. I was really hoping, Greg, when I searched for his highlights, that I would find him competing in that sport where they sprint at each other from 40 yards away and run each other over. I hadn't found it yet. But I have a feeling he's played that.
Still hadn't found it?
But I have a feeling he's really good at it. Don't know. Can't remember what it's called. But I bet he played it. Maybe we need some New Zealanders. That's what's going to get us back.
I think that's the type of person you want to go after. A guy that probably grew up playing a whole host of sports and has just outgrown them all. So now he's about to go road grade some folks.
Basically plays football without pads.
Yeah,
And now he's going to be like, what are these for?
pretty good place to be.
Back with Roddy and DeBulsey to talk real sports next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. It is Wednesday, June 25th, 8 a.m. right here on Jox 94.5. You can listen online, joxfm.com. Apps in your app store, iPhone, Android. You can download that for free. Back to real sports for people. The Braves took out the Mets yesterday, 7-4. Braves now 37-41 on the season. Mets get to 46-34. Yankees go down to the Reds, 5-4. Reds 42-38. Dodgers 9-7 over the Rockies, Greg. Rockies now 18-61. A little bit of a struggle this year.
Rockies having a hard time.
Dodgers 49-31. Not the best record in baseball. For the folks who wanted us to talk about real sports, I bet you knew who had the best record in baseball, right?
I would guess that I don't even know.
Detroit Tigers first team to 50 wins last night. They're 50-30 on the season.
They have the best record.
Yeah. Tarek Skubal, a little slow start yesterday, but we'll get to breaking down the Tigers' middle relievers a little bit later in the show. Now, we'll stick with real sports, and we'll go to Roddy and DeBulsey joining us on the Higginbotham hotline. Roddy, we're going to spare you the Braves backup catcher situation and talk about Georgia recruiting. It feels like whatever is happening in recruiting right now with the House settlement and the difference of how collectives will operate moving forward, whatever it is, It feels like Kirby and company kind of have it figured out. What have they adjusted? What have they changed? What have maybe they adapted to that others are a little bit slow to figure out? How are they having so much more success than some other schools right now?
I think fundamentally it came down to what Kirby Smart said this during the spring ball. At one point he said, look, I'm looking for guys with more fire. I'm looking for guys with more passion. I'm looking for guys who want to play football. And if you're like me and you've been doing this a long time and, you know, you guys have been in sports, you almost start to tune out when a coach starts talking about energy and focus and stuff. It sounds coach-like. Now, I'm not trying to put down what he said, but I'm just saying a lot of people kind of tune out because it sounds like cliche. But we have seen what he's looking for are some guys who may not be the guys who are asking for the biggest paycheck, the guys who are asking for the most money. He's getting guys. He's still got the number 2 rated class in the nation, but we're finding guys when we speak to them are like, hey, I dialed into what Kirby said. So he's trying to find guys who match his. They may not have the height that he wants, or the weight that he wants, or the arm length that he wants, but he has that passion that he wants. And we're starting to see these guys come to Georgia. There's a kid who's going to come in the next week. He's already told us he's left hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. I'm not going to say which one it is, but he's like, yeah, I'm leaving money on the table. And so I'm pretty sure this kid's going to pick Georgia when he announces in the coming days. And that's what Kirby Smart, when you look at Corey Howard, who picked last night out of Valdosta, he's looking between Georgia and Florida. Florida came in, they offered him a lot of money. Georgia said, and Georgia's offered him a lot of money too. Don't get me wrong. They're not spending money. They're putting cash on the table. But it's a situation where this kid's from Valdosta, you know, it's Titletown, USA, and he wants to be a Georgia Bulldog. You know, when the Jay Lamar, the kid's announced to get 230 today from Colquitt County High School, an absolute powerhouse. Miami's been hard after him. Other teams have been after him. Jay Lamar, you know, he's in state. He wants to play for the Georgia Bulldogs. He's a Georgia Bulldogs fan. He might go somewhere else, but I put in a prediction 2 days ago that he's going to pick the Georgia Bulldogs. So he's kind of focusing in state first, picking up kids who every one of them will say, yeah, I've dreamed about playing for the Georgia Bulldogs. I dreamed about playing for Kirby Smart. And remember, this is year 10 for Kirby. So this kid's 18, 17, 16-year-old. He started watching Kirby when he was 6, 7, or 8 years old. So some of it is focusing on going back old school. Let me get guys from my state. Then let me go find the top guys in the nation. So when I interviewed Lincoln Keys, the top tight end, he wants to come play for Todd Hartley, and he's really recruiting other players. So some of the guys who are very focused on themselves, I met a kid the other day who had his own logo and his own merch. And I'm like, yeah, he's got a Georgia offer, but I can tell you with 100% clarity, this kid has never come to the University of Georgia. So I'll give Kirby Smart one accolade. He understands rosters. And if the only drawbacks during this whole NIL thing is that the rules kept changing and the data points kept changing, the money kept changing, or the transfer kept changing. If you give him a set of rules for a roster, he is going to rise to the top of that. You can say what you want about his quarterback management or, you know, his offensive line or whatever, but Kirby Smart learned from Nick Saban that you win football games with the best roster. And if the parameters for building that roster do not change, he will have one of the best rosters in college football. So that's how he's adjusting to all this other stuff. If he can get any sort of continuity, he will develop a strategy and come out with the best roster.
It all makes sense. And I believe in Kirby Smart. I don't think the roster's going anywhere. I've noticed kind of across the board that more and more teams are saying, yep, you know what, I'll bypass the super 5-star in favor of a 4-star that maybe has a slightly smaller ego and a slightly smaller team that you have to appease on a regular basis, because that guy's going to be more likely to bail after 1 year and or test the waters of the portal every single year as well. So it seems like this is kind of across the board. Have you noticed that?
I have, and that's why I see a lot more schools signing kids within states, you know. Oh, hey, your dad played here? Your uncle played here? We talked to Teddy Girard, the quarterback out of Georgia, who his uncle was Corey Phillips, you know, great Georgia quarterback back in the day. He, you know,
Hartwell, Georgia.
Absolutely. So you know Corey lit it up, and Corey's been working with him, and Corey, his nephew Teddy Gerard won MVP yesterday, and he's like, yeah, I've been to Georgia 1,000 times. You don't think that Georgia's going to go all in on Teddy Gerard, who's got a incredibly accurate arm, big body, and it's a kid that, yeah, he's going to command a lot of money as a top quarterback in the nation. But Georgia's not going to say, hey, look, Georgia's never going to be the team to pay the most. I'll just put it to you that way. Kirby Smart will not ruin his locker room by having a kid come in. Let's say you go out and get a left tackle. Jackson Cantwell, the number one player in the nation. Georgia wanted him really badly. But when somebody else came in and offered him more money, Georgia's like, look, we're just not going to match that. We're not going to be the top bidder for him because we don't want to have to recruit him come next spring. Every time the portal opens, and I'm not taking a shot against Jackson Cantwell. I think he's a great kid. But to your point, if you can get a Teddy Gerard, you can get a homegrown kid who has connections to the university and not have one offensive tackle who's paid 3 times what your senior starting offensive tackle is versus a freshman who's never played a down. That Kirby, he's big on locker rooms too. So I'll give him credit for that. He's gotten a lot of grief for, the Georgia fans think that Georgia is not spending enough money. And I'm like, look, you've been in locker rooms before, guys. You know what it's like. You can't have guys comparing notes and a kid who's never done nothing being paid 3 times what your starting players are being paid. So, and you're right. It is across the board. Everybody's kind of getting to that. A lot of schools are, well, look at what happened at Tennessee with Nico. You just did not have the mass bidding war that everyone suspected when he went to the portal.
We're visiting with Rodney Nabulsi. He covers the Georgia Bulldogs on the Higginbotham Hotline. We had a really intriguing back and forth with Kirby at the Regions Golf Tournament here in Birmingham. Greg kind of asked him a little bit about Gunnar Stockton and preparation coming in, and Kirby immediately went Puglisi and kind of wanted to talk about him and wanted to comment on him and wanted to say that he was in the mix and wanted to say the good things he had been doing. And Greg and I kind of both left that conversation like, okay, like that might not have been exactly what we anticipated. What is your opinion of that situation right now?
Well, again, let's take Ryan Puglisi, and I just want to tie it to what I said before. Remember, they had Ryan Puglisi committed, then Dylan Raiola, the number one quarterback in the nation, committed last year or a couple years ago. At the very last second, Nebraska came to Dylan Raiola, bought him away, and it's good for him. He had an uncle on staff. Got no problem with him going there. But Ryan Puglisi never flinched. The kid never thought about going anywhere else. The kid, even though he knew the top QB was coming in, he said, well, I need to go to Georgia and I'll compete. And if I'm better than him, I'll play. If I'm not, then I won't. That is the type of mindset that Kirby's been looking for. So he has that in Ryan Puglisi, and Ryan's now backing up Gunnar Stockton, and Coach likes that. He's like, look, this is a guy who's going to fight with Gunnar Stockton. He's bigger. He's got a stronger arm. He's got great football IQ. He could win this job. And if somebody's going to ask me about, because you guys know how Kirby works when it comes to talking to the media, he says that, oh, we never pay attention to all that outside noise. But then in the next question, in the next sentence, he'll say, well, you guys are going to write X or you guys are going to write Y. He reads all the stuff. He knows what everybody's saying about it. So what he doesn't want to do is have a situation where if you ask him about one player, especially when there's a described position battle or the position is open, he's not going to leave it so that any of us can say, well, Kirby didn't even mention the other quarterback, so it's obvious that Gunnar is his guy, And so I think that's a little bit of a statecraft on Kirby Smart's behalf to say, hey, Ryan Puglisi's in it. And to be fair, Ryan Puglisi is in it. He is a ridiculously good quarterback. Gunnar Stockton has 2 games. It's not like he's a 2-year starter. This is a guy who was the backup to Carson Beck last year. And, when Carson went down, he came in. But Ryan is right there with him. And it would not surprise me if, Gunnar Stockton has any issues that Ryan takes the job. He's really that good. When you guys look at him, I'm sure you'll come to spring practice and watch him. He looks like an NFL QB. I mean, Gunnar kind of does as well, but he just, when it comes to the size, if you had to build a prototype, you build one that looks like Ryan Puglisi. So Kirby knows what he has with him, and he's not going to take the opportunity not to hype him up a little bit or at least mention him, or at least if the kid reads the newspaper, he's going to notice, or listens to your show, he's going to notice, yeah, coach is still talking about me when asked, so I am still in it. He's not just focused on the what everyone assumes to be the starting QB.
Yeah, hope he's listening. I'm sure he's listening to our show. So that's
Dialed
good to
in.
know that
Thank you, Ryan.
that we're covered up. That's for sure. In the event in which we got to visit with him prior to a game this year, know that he was in the mix, according to us.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
There you
Looking
go.
at the rest of the roster, it seems like they have a good roster. It doesn't feel like they have as much of a star-studded roster as they've had the last couple of years. I don't think that's a bad thing. I just think it's a little different from what we were used to. But let's start on the offensive side beyond the quarterback. Do you feel like this roster will be as talented as some of the rosters we've seen the last couple of years?
Yes and no. I'll say it this way. This is the final break from those two championship teams. When you have the two teams that win in 21 and 22, 23, they go undefeated in the regular season, then 24 had two losses. But a lot of those guys, the Carson Becks, some of the receivers, some of the offensive linemen, they all played on those championship teams. They had the dual rings. Now you're going to have a situation where everybody on that offensive line is new pretty much. The wide receivers are new. They got brought in 3 in the portal. They've brought in a bunch of freshmen. Basically, Dylan Bell's like your last holdover. So you don't have first-round picks like, Brock Bowers, and the top second-round pick in Ladd McConkey. That, like you said, that star power is gone, but you also don't have the you're building almost honestly completely new team. But if you remember the guys in 2016 when Kirby first got here, in 2017 when Sony Michel and Nate Chubb came back, you wanted a championship for those guys. The seniors who come back, they didn't quite get it. And it took them a few years for that when they got really close. The next batch got there and actually won a couple. Well, this is almost the third iteration of Kirby Smart's kind of championship run. You get there, you lose a bunch of guys, and now you build them up. You can't, with the transfer portal, stack talent like you used to, which is why the guys he has, I'm talking about he's looking for guys who want to play, because you just can't have a 5-star backing, a first-round pick sitting on the bench for 2 years like you did at Alabama and Georgia for multiple years. So you don't have the same amount of talent. So he is looking for the guys who are more passionate, just because it's almost impossible to stack them. And here's the thing, it's that way across college football. Nobody's stacking talent like they used to, because you just can't do it. So I think your assessment when you look at that offensive line or the entire offense and go, well, we're the absolute superstars. Well, you just don't have them like you used to. And again, I would say that about Ohio State. I would say that about Texas. I would say that about Oregon. You can point to 1 or 2, but it's not like 5 guys you think are going to be drafted in the first 2 rounds. It just doesn't happen anymore.
It's really intriguing to think about. So give us a name that we maybe haven't seen them on the practice field as much, in pads as much, or competing in actual SEC games that you just continue to hear good things about, that not a lot of people are anticipating is going to help this team or going to be a major factor for this team, that your confidence in them really helping Georgia this year has been growing the last couple months?
No, Colby Young. I know he played a couple games last year. Then he had some legal issues, which I will not gloss over. They were not pretty, but those are pretty behind him now. Georgia last year expected their top 2 wide receivers to be Ra Thomas and Colby Young. Ra was dismissed in summer. Colby was starting to come on, starting to really kind of catch his stride, and then was gone for the rest of the season. Colby was, the transfer out of Miami. He's really talented. He's a big guy, 6'3", 4", big target. And if you talk to Georgia's wide receivers coach, James Foley knows what he's doing, those were the 2 guys he was expecting to really blow it up. And then Georgia was without both of them. And guess what? Carson Beck struggled last year. Georgia had trouble making catches. Georgia led the nation, I think, in drop passes. The point is, a lot of people just think that, Colby Young played last year. He didn't do much. And then he got arrested, and it was over. It'd be easy to dismiss him. But I'm telling you, a healthy Colby Young is a game changer for the Georgia Bulldogs. It's not just because he's tall and, we'll use him in the red zone or we'll use him on 3rd down. He's a problem up and down the field.
Yeah, and they loved him last year, and it felt like in his absence you thought others might step up, like Humphreys and guys like that kind of fit that same mold and
Did
just
not happen.
never really materialized.
Is he going to help him this year, Roddy? Sorry, Greg. We think London Humphreys can be awesome. I think he's a name that can really help him. I just don't know if they're going to use him.
It's going to be tough because now you got Zachariah Branch, who's come in from USC, who's ridiculously talented. Dylan Bell didn't get enough balls last year, but he's catching now. So, and I'm with you. London Humphreys, when he came in from Vandy, he was their top receiver, and I expected him to really blow up. And you watch his route running, and you think, wow, this kid's like Lad McConkey. This kid can do McConkey-type stuff. But for some reason, it just doesn't click. And so I'm with you. I agree that he has that potential, and he could be their leading receiver. But it just hasn't happened yet, so I don't want to go out on a limb and say, oh, yeah, I expect it to happen when I don't have any past history to base that on.
Defensively, what's the biggest concern right now?
To me, it's defensive line. Well, I mean, you lost a bunch of guys in the secondary, but I think with Ellis Robinson, I mean, you saw how many times Daniel Harris was just picked on last year. The year before, it was Dalen Everett who was picked on, and it made him better. So hopefully Daniel Harris is better, but if not, Ellis Robinson can come back. So Georgia's got cornerbacks. Georgia's got very good safeties in KJ Bolden, Jaden Harris transferring in, Ja'Cory Thomas. Great. I mean, I'll put Georgia's inside linebacker corps up against anybody in the nation. I think they have the best inside linebacker room in the nation. They don't have a lot of depth at edge, but I'm like, where is that historical? I won't say historical. Where's Georgia's defensive line? Where's the Jordan Davises of the world, the Jalen Carters of the world? Where's that? Just who's going to go into the LSU backfield, pick up their quarterback, hold them in the air with one hand? Where's that guy? And I don't know that that's Jordan Hall. I don't know that that's Christian Miller. I don't know that that's Xavier McLeod. They've shown flashes, but if I'm a Georgia fan, I am concerned about Georgia's defensive line. They have the pedigree on paper, 5 stars, 4 stars, size, speed. But where's that effectiveness? I haven't seen it. And the fact that you lose all those senior defensive linemen to the NFL, that's going to be I won't know what we're going to have until we go to the game 3 at Tennessee. The first 2 games against Marshall and Austin Peay, I just don't see anything there. I think anybody could do well against those teams, especially with the fact that Marshall had so many transfers. But I think that we'll know more about Georgia's defensive line, which to me is their biggest question mark, when you have to go into Neyland Stadium against that really good offensive line that Tennessee has and see what they can do, especially, with the quarterback situation at Tennessee. So that to me is the biggest question mark.
Roddy, great stuff, man. We always appreciate the time. Always enjoy your breakdowns and your information. I look forward to doing it again soon.
Hey, I'll be waiting.
There you go. Roddy Nabulsi joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. You deserve solutions that are built for you. Higginbotham is your one-source solutions for insurance, financial, and HR services. I want to follow up on something that Roddy just said, and it was in reference to the Georgia defense, an area that we often don't have concerns for this football team. You can follow Roddy on Twitter at Roddy Nabulsi, RADI NABULSI. Find his work at UGAsports.com. So we'll continue that follow-up. We'll do that on the other side. Before we do that, Greg, tell our listeners about Polar Bear Services.
Well, Wes and the guys are the one-stop shop for me. I call them for pretty much everything that happens around our home, and as a result, I've received tremendous experiences. They really have made it seamless, and they've really done a great job in making sure that our home is running smoothly here for the summer months ahead. Yesterday, the feels like temperature was well into the triple digits. It was nice to know I had the peace of mind that my home HVAC system would be running smoothly because of the great work we've gotten from Polar Bear Services. They've helped us with our plumbing. They've helped us with our electrical. They've helped us with small appliance repair. They can do so many things around your house. That's why I always make my first call to Weston and the guys at Polar Bear Service. Remember, if you have a problem with your electrical, plumbing, heat, or air, just pick up the phone and call the Bear. It's 205-497-BEAR. That's 497-BEAR.
All right, when we come back, we'll focus in a little bit more on Georgia. Did we do worst-case scenario for Georgia yesterday? I don't think we hit that with them. Like, what's the worst-case scenario through the first quarter of the season for the Bulldogs? We did it with a lot of other SEC teams. We'll do that as well with Georgia next on Mac and Cube in the morning. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:25 Wednesday, June 25th, right here on Jox 94.5. It's like we hit the floor in the first hour talking about Garbage Pail Kids. We're going to move on, trying to stick with real sports here. But if you need new floors in your home, Greg, who should you call?
That'd be Shinar Flooring. Shinar Flooring does such a great job. And what I love most is that they have such high quality flooring options that you can install in your home. Like if you go and just kind of look at their website, fooandyou.com, you'll understand what I'm talking about. They have Core-Tech flooring, which is super, super high end, waterproof, pet proof, super durable. And right now you can get $5 off per box of that Core-Tech flooring because they have 40,000 square feet of it in stock right now. So you can take advantage of their inventory and get a nice savings of $5 per box. And if you want to go in a different direction, if you want to get one of their other options, they have plenty for you. You can save up to 15% off flooring now to July 2nd. So you have just a week or so to really take advantage of those savings. So do it now. And savings start at $150. They only go up from there. You can get 12 months financing with approved credit. You can see it all online with Shinar Flooring at fooandyou.com.
Were you surprised at Roddy Nabulsi's answer when he discussed his biggest concerns specifically on defense for this Georgia football team coming up this year?
No, because I think it's very, very fair. When taking all of that into account, I like a lot the personnel that they've been able to assemble over the years, right? I mean, that's been good for a long time. But I do feel like the depth was challenged last year. The edges have been challenged for a while. And I just don't know if collectively, and look, this is all relative to Georgia, right? Like our expectation for Georgia defensively is different than our expectation for Kentucky defensively, or from South Carolina defensively, or from Oklahoma defensively. Like Georgia's at worst going to be a top 5 defense in our mind in the preseason every year. But that's one of the questions I might have. Like that's one of the things that concerns me just a little bit, is that when you look at their depth and their personnel and the quality of player that they are able to bring in, how many top 10 picks do they have on defense right now? Because for a while there, it was like,
top 10 picks or first round picks?
First round picks.
I think that Elo Mendoza could work his way into that. I think Raylan Wilson could work his way into that. I think KJ Bolden could be that. At least 3.
For a while you had to really work hard to
7
find
or
one
8,
that wasn't a first round pick. And Alabama's enduring the same type of challenges, by the way. Like you look at Alabama and we say, yeah, maybe the defense isn't as good as it once was. Well, that's because they don't have 7 first-round defensive linemen and they're too deep. Like, guess what? No one does anymore. So with the collection of talent spreading out a little bit more, Georgia, their expectation levels on defense are probably going to have to drop just a little bit. So I think someone that covers it every day like Roddy does, he's probably looking at it through the lens of, yep, they're not as good as they once were, so therefore they're not good. Not fair, but just understanding the standard with which Georgia's measured on.
And that's going to be difficult for a lot of teams at a lot of different points in time in their, lifetime or certain runs that they have. It's never going to be the same as it was. I mean, the Nebraska running game's never going to be what it was in the late 80s, mid 90s. Miami may never accumulate as much talent as they had in the late 2000s. Certain things are never going to be what they were. Georgia had an abundance of talent in very small areas that not a lot of other teams could be able to stockpile, and they did it for multiple seasons. Probably won't be like that again. The reason that it surprised me a little bit is I've seen good reps from Jordan Hall on film. I've seen really good reps from Christian Miller on film. I think Raylan Wilson has massive potential. I love Elo Mendoza. And if you guys don't know who he is, he's transferring in from Army. You probably haven't seen him play. I had not seen a ton of him. He is a literal M80 on the field. He can just blow things up. And I like still that they have guys like Gabe Harris, who's kind of don't really know where his home is, just wants to get, you can tell he's a kid that just wants to get on the field and he just wants to trade paint. Like he wants to wreck people. and he probably doesn't shoot his hands as well as the other D linemen. He's not as twitchy as the other edge guys, but he'll put his face mask in your chest and try to run through you. And I think Kirby's always going to have an affinity for guys like that.
100%.
KJ Bolden can cover the entire field. Like, he's all over the place, super athletic. So I just kind of look at it and say there's a lot of folks that are just down on it and don't believe that it can be anything close to what it's been. But I'm a little higher on it than a lot of people are. And I don't have as big a concern up front. And maybe because I've gotten past what you're talking about and a lot of people can't. I don't go watch Georgia's film and say, okay, there better be Jordan Davis and Richard Seymour and Marcus Stroud and Kendrell Bell and all these other guys that have been there before, because I know it's not going to be that. Right. I don't put Bama's film on and say, where's Quinnen Williams and Derek Thomas? Where's Rolando? Oh, well, this isn't going to be good because it's not those guys. I know it's not going to be those guys.
But a lot of people are having a hard time with that. You might not.
Yeah, I know that it's not going to be what it's going to be every year. It just isn't.
We listen to callers and say, oh, well, look at all. I mean, why are we not as good on defense anymore? Well, look at the players. Tell me, are the players as good? That's pretty simple. I mean, are the players as good on defense as they once were?
Let me ask you.
Are they getting drafted in the same spots they once were?
Let me ask you personally this question.
Yeah.
And this may require a little bit of thought. You might not be able to spit it out because I'm not sure I could right this second. Who has defensive personnel right now collectively, and that doesn't mean every single guy, but a lot of guys, multiple guys, that literally just scare you? That you look at, you watch them on film, and you're like, good Lord, putting a plan together against these guys would be tough. The edge guys, the inside linebacker, yeah, you got safeties that are really good football players.
Yeah, it's the edge guys. And they're really concerning. They have 4 of them.
Okay, who else?
Last year, Michigan, 2 tackles.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been fun.
No.
And by the way, their edge guys last year were pretty rugged too. I mean, they're tough to deal with.
Ohio State last year, they had some guys on defense that can go.
Didn't always show up, but yeah.
Didn't always show up, but they can go. Notre Dame in the secondary, huge problem.
Well, they wouldn't have been very much fun up front either, especially when Riley Mills was healthy.
Yeah, but then when they weren't healthy, they were fine. But when they were healthy, they were a
But
huge
I'm talking
problem.
about going into this year. Like South Carolina last year would have been that group.
Yeah.
Handful. Who right now? Just personnel wise, do you look
Ohio
at and
State's
say
still got some really good players? Like I think their defense across the board is still excellent. I know they lost.
Penn State doesn't have guys that you just look at and say there's nothing we can do with those guys.
Like a solid end, rock solid end.
Tennessee last year had it.
Tennessee absolutely
But
had it last year.
And they're going to have some good guys again this year, but not personnel that we just look at and say, oh, I don't know, guys.
Yeah, cancel the season. Like no,
Ole Miss to an extent had it last year, but they're not going to have it this year. I'm not scared of that group this year.
Like I got Georgia this year as a top 4 defense in the country.
What about Clemson?
Yeah, they got 2 guys that can scare me.
Yeah, a couple guys, but not what they've even had before.
Not 7.
Yeah, I mean that's another example that we could look at and say, where are the 4 first-round draft picks across the front?
Look at Clemson's 2018 national championship team. They had 4 guys on front that were like a huge problem.
Massive problem.
Dexter Lawrence, Christian Wilkins, 2 ends, Cleveland Farrell. I mean, they had major problems.
I don't look at anybody right now and say, personnel-wise, they're just going to be filthy on defense. There's some ifs and maybes. Like you said, Ohio State, they get a couple guys come on.
Oklahoma's
possibly.
got some scary guys.
Oklahoma's probably as close to anybody. I'd put them up against anybody on that side of the ball because they got linebackers that can run. They got real edge guys, and they have multiple guys inside that can be problematic. That's a good one that I have not thought
Oklahoma
about.
as a top 7 defense. I got Alabama as top 6 defense. I think they're going to be pretty good.
Who's won? Texas. But even Texas though, like it's fair to say the middle is not proven, and you lose Jahdae Barron in the secondary. That's going to be a pretty big loss. Is the secondary going to be great again? Maybe. I don't know. I don't. There's not a lot of secondary guys that I'll watch and say, "Oh man, I want to try to avoid him." Sorry, that's just me. You view that in a different lens than I do, but
secondary guys are scary.
Not a lot of them. They're not.
They are.
A lot of guys that are diving at the dirt. That doesn't scare me.
For different
Sorry.
reasons. Okay, so I'm sorry. So they're not heat-seeking missiles that are going to.
Yeah, that's what I said. We look at it through different lenses, and that's okay. It needs to be viewed in different ways.
But you can still acknowledge Darrell Revis is scary. You can't throw in his direction. You literally
Yeah,
can't.
not scary to me. But,
not saying-
but can be scary. I'm talking about guys that just physically we can't deal with.
Okay, well,
There's just not a lot of them out there. And then to your point, when you put that part on top of it as well, guys who can do those things from a coverage perspective, who are the groups that are really just going to be able to clamp people down all across the field? It
See,
doesn't
like-
feel like there's a ton of them.
like Penn State can lock you down on the outside. They're going to be pretty good at in the secondary. Their pass rush will suffer.
Danny
greatly.
Dennis Sutton's nice off the edge.
He's a good player. Their two linebackers are solid. Losing Kobe King was a big loss, but they got two linebackers off the ball that can play. They got the
Abdul Carter's gone.
that is accurate. Can confirm. Zane Durant's not bad. He was a guy that stepped up last year when Abdul Carter was a little banged up. Didn't really miss like a huge beat. Changed the offense. The offense didn't pay as much attention to him when he was on the field as they did when Abdul was down there, but still very, very good. And I think Georgia is one of the top teams defensively.
Yeah, I think my point in this entire practice was there are people complaining about the lack of riches on Georgia's defense. And as we just went through it, there are not a lot of billionaires on defense in college football right now.
No.
They're just not there.
No.
There's some Fort Worth millionaires, but not a ton of billionaires out
But
there.
Clemson's going to be in the
There's
mix.
not a lot of oil money on college defenses right now.
Clemson's going to be in the mix, though. Like, if you look at it, Tom Allen's there, great defensive coordinator, love him. And he's going to find ways for TJ
That would have been the
Parker.
first one that I would have mentioned.
What?
Clemson would have been right there with Texas and then Oklahoma. Yeah, those would have been towards the top of my list.
TJ Parker's a handful. I think Peter Woods is a little bit overrated as far as like his 5-star status. I think he's great, but I don't think he's not a defensive end. So he was playing out of position last year, so maybe
Right.
my judgment's a little clouded. If he plays defensive tackle, now we got major problems. And if he plays it all the time, you got major problems. Because I do think he can be that guy on the inside. But I don't think at this point he's the best defensive tackle in the country. Sammy Brown's is going to his sophomore year. Who knows what he's going to be? I'm a big believer in what he could be. That kid will be a big-time player. I think Woodaz is a good player. I think the back end is fine. I think their safety, Khalil Barnes, is a problem. I think Avion Terrell is rock solid at corner. So I think Clemson, last year with Clemson, it was very obvious that when their best player, when TJ Parker went off the field, they became so human, relatively speaking.
Yep.
That's the problem with Clemson, is their depth will suffer because they have not been a team that has prioritized adding veteran pieces in the portal. And that's fine. Their culture is fantastic as a result of that, but they do drop off when a guy goes out.
All right, we'll continue that conversation. Also, we mentioned earlier in the show, records that may never be broken. Another thing I want to get to across the course of the show today. All that and more next on Mac and Cube in the morning. You're bobbing your head back there, Damien. Did you go to this show last night?
No, I did not. But as I go down this bumper music, Dave Matthews Band don't sound that bad. I was unfamiliar with their game. I probably still wouldn't have gone, but, it's something I can tap my foot to.
Why wouldn't you have gone?
That's just not my style.
Got it. You're waiting for this weekend, Fish?
No, Thomas Rhett is actually going to be here Friday.
I don't know who he is.
That's more my style.
Eric Rhett's brother.
Not sure.
Rhett Beaumont.
I don't think so.
Rhett Beaumont. 8:42, Wednesday, June 25th, Jox 94.5. Quickly tell you about your CBD store. If you are lacking sleep, if you want to drop some weight, the Trim by SunMed in stock now at your CBD store. What if your pet struggles to get around the house? We have a dog in our home, 16 years old. She struggles, but she's got her treats from your CBD store. Helps her get around just a little bit better. Can help with some of the skin care when the allergies show up different times of the year. Also, gut health. They have treats that can help your pet with that as well. Maybe anxiety for your pet. Your CBD store has treats for that. All the different things to help your pet live a better life, your CBD store has answers for them. They have them for you too. Arthritis, anxiety, weight loss, better focus throughout the course of the day, better sleep, wake up feeling more refreshed, more energy in the morning. They have products that can help you there. Your CBD store, first company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements, 3 locations, Highway 280 by Bailey Brothers, 150 by the Cage in Cleveland, Trussville just off 459. Your CBD store where good health hits home. We're talking defensive personnel in college football and what teams just look like they might be super scary. Are there teams that you feel like you want to sort of be ready to take that leap on? You want to say, I'm this close on this group. They just haven't proven it yet. So I can't put my stamp of approval on them now, but man, they're right there knocking on the door.
On a team or on a
more of a team?
group?
Yeah, more of a team that has a defense that you look at and say, I can't just put it in stone yet, but I think they're close. I think they're a group that is kind of sitting there waiting. Like I'll tell you one for me would be Missouri. I can't sit there and say this is going to be a really good group. This is going to be a dominant group, but I think they have some pieces. Like Zion Young was kind of better than I thought he would be last year. Chris McClellan's got good football in him. We've seen him at Florida and in Missouri. We know what Damon Wilson's capable of doing, but we haven't really seen it all the time. He hasn't been a full-time player that's just wreaked havoc on a very regular basis. If y'all don't know who Marvin Burks is, you need to watch number 1 play football for Missouri. That guy has no remorse for his body whatsoever. He's about 195 and will lay it on just about anybody. And it doesn't always go his way. He doesn't care. Jalen Catalon. I mean, I don't know what the consecutive game streak played is in his life, maybe 3 at the most, but he's there, and we know he's got some good traits. So I think if there was one, I've even seen Sterling Webb, 10, play some good football for Missouri. That's a group, Greg, that I look at and say, if it were healthy and some parts kind of got a little bit more consistent, I could see that being a group that at the end of the year, we look at them and say, yeah, that's a group that a lot of people don't really want any part of.
I can understand that. I think they got a group that's got some talent. I think they got a couple guys that will bring the hammer for sure. A group that I'm a little bit unsure about's Oregon. If we're going to go outside the SEC for a moment, I think there's
not just unsure, but unsure, and you think they could.
I think they could be
end
elite.
Up being really good.
I think
right?
They could be elite.
Yeah.
But a good example is Bear Alexander's there now. Bear Alexander is.
When it's on, it's on. I think he can be unblockable when it's going.
Well, that's the thing it could be a contract year.
Oh, if you're getting that out of him, yeah, he changes things. There's no doubt. I mean, he changes what your defense is because now you have to account for that. And how many times have you just mentioned Michigan last year? Now they had other good parts too, and lost some guys to injury. Like Will Johnson would have made them different, even more so. But I mean, you get a Mason Graham inside that does the things he does, and then a Kenneth Grant next to him specifically. Like now, all of a sudden, boy, that frees us up to do a lot of things, a lot of other places.
Well, I think that. So that's an example. Like he's a guy that could make it go all the way.
Where do you have an opinion on this Dylan Thieneman? I need to go watch him.
He's fine. He's a good player. They just roll so
But is
many
he
guys.
good?
Yeah. I mean, he's played a lot of football.
Like a game changer.
I don't know if I'd go as
Or
far
a good
as
safety valve?
I would not go as far as to say he's a game changer. I would go as far as to
Don't say coach on the field.
No, I would go as far as to say he's
Don't
just,
say high football IQ.
He's played a lot of football. He's going to be surrounded by a bunch of guys that are really young.
Okay.
Like if you look at what their starting lineup's looking like it's going to be, you could in theory have 3 freshmen on the field in the back end defensively, which is it's a huge problem. Alabama fans should know that based on how things went for them in the secondary at times last year. I mean, having that much youth in the secondary is a problem. So having a guy that has 210 career tackles
that can direct traffic,
that can cover you up and is good enough to cover you up. Like, oh shoot, he blew an assignment. I got to cover that. You know, we didn't pass things off here. I got to get over the top here on the left half of the field. Like
right.
he's good enough to do those things. I don't think he's a guy that it's like, oh my gosh, he's in the back end of the defense. I can't throw deep, because he'll track it down like a Kyle Hamilton or like an Earl Thomas. Like when those guys were playing free safety, you didn't even try throws over 30 yards. It was like, you better get the ball up and down or else it's going to get picked or broken up.
But he can cover up a lot pre-snap as well.
He's not that.
Having people in the right place and playing enough football that he's seen the other things. And I'll say this, Uwe can play ball. Yeah. And
I don't know if he's as good as like people act.
No.
I
know. I think the name helps with that a little bit. But like Tuioti, you talk about heavy hands. Like he's a dude that you don't want to tussle with on that Oregon defense. Also,
I would not be surprised if at the end of the year Oregon has a top 2 or 3 defense, but I can't put them there right now.
So that's a perfect example of what I was talking about.
Yeah.
A group that it just some things are going to have to happen for it to be in the super scary category or the billionaire category, as we kind of referenced earlier, and not a guy that's out there taking payday loans, trying to make their defense better. So we'll continue the conversation on defenses and more next. Mac and Cube in the morning. we don't have to do this all day, just so you know. I'm not sure why you felt the need. We didn't go.
No, it's
Just because John took a vacation to go and our boss went, who's probably not even in yet because he went. We don't have to do this.
Probably not even in.
Not in yet because he went.
Yeah.
8:53 Wednesday, June 25th. Just because you found something new and shiny, you want to play with it. We passed on that toy a long time ago. We're good. We're fine.
Probably not even in.
Thank you though. Not in. Considering coming in. Maybe.
I'll tell you who is in. That's Bill Smith Buick GMC, the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champs of GMC dealers. They've won it 5 years in a row, and they continue to get unbelievable reviews. I was texting with Andy Cole the other day. They're selling 300 vehicles a month. It's unbelievable the deals that they're able to give away. It's incredible. It's because nobody can match them, and the deals that you'll find are incredible. Like a 2025 GMC Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate. $15,000 off the sticker, you get it for under $72,000. It's absolutely amazing when you take into account some of the deals that you can find on the lot. But taking the short drive up to Coleman, you can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at a place that has 75% repeat customers because you have a better experience at Bill Smith Buick GMC. Go check out the Used Car Supercenter too. They have a deal for you regardless of what your budget is. They have a solution. So go and see them right up there in Coleman, or you can shop online, have delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
Outside of Missouri and the SEC, is there another defense that you feel like will be close to what we were describing?
Yeah, I think
Kind
Tennessee
of
could be that.
On the brink. That's a good one.
Tennessee's
Yeah.
probably the one for me in the SEC if I had to pick one, because there's a few things I think if they can fall into place, I feel real good about them. All right. I think obviously losing James Pierce is significant. We know that. But I actually like their front. Like, I think their front's fine. I don't think they have a guy that I'm like scared to death of, but I think collectively together, they're going to be okay. I also think Aaron Carter's got a chance to have a really nice year. I think T-Lander had some good reps last year as well at the second level. And then a huge part of my evaluation of whether or not Tennessee is going to be legit is the health of their corners. If you can tell me right now that Jermod McCoy will return prior to the ACL injury at the beginning of spring, if he can return to what he was at the end of the year last year, that's huge. So I think if a few pieces fall into place for Tennessee, I could see them being quite good on that side of the ball.
I'm with you. Bryson Easton can be a handful inside. Davin Hobbs is not as mobile. He's a little more stationary inside, but he can be a handful to deal with. Dominic Bailey can sort of be an inside-outside flex defensive lineman. You know, he could give you some reps inside. Not super twitchy outside, but he can manage it, handle it. And Joshua Joseph did some good things off the edge last year. Aaron Carter can fly.
And they
just don't have the depth.
But they have 6 guys in their rotation that are juniors or redshirt seniors. Like, they got a bunch of guys that have played a lot of football.
You like that?
There's not one in particular that I'm like, all right, that guy's a major issue.
But in today's college football, I'll take a bunch of dudes that know what they're doing,
yeah,
and have good reps under them that can help us out. The Senior Bowl helps a lot of guys out. Drew Fabianich, the new director of the Senior Bowl, going to be with us when we come back to talk about a new partnership next. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, Wednesday, June 25th, 9 a.m. Hour number 3 underway right here on WJOX. It's a brand new hour, similar to how the Senior Bowl has a brand new partnership, brand new title sponsor. Panini going to be the new title sponsor of the Senior Bowl, and the new director of the Senior Bowl, Drew Fabianich, joins us now on the Higgum Hotline to discuss it. Drew, before we get into that partnership, just give us an idea, since you've taken over, how things have gone. What's it been like in this new role for you?
Well, it's been easier in college football, being the GM in college football, I can tell you that much. It has broadened my view of the Senior Bowl because I had no idea exactly how far the reach is of the Senior Bowl within this community. I mean, since I got here, there was the draft party, then there was the Senior Bowl Hall of Fame, then there was a charity golf tournament. Now the Panini announcement, yesterday, then we're going to have a leadership deal in July, then off to the media days for me, plus moving down here, trying to get my legs underneath me. Yeah, it's been kind of a whirlwind, to be honest with you.
I can imagine. So we're all excited about the partnership with Panini. That's terrific, and we definitely want you to explain to us what that means for the future of the Senior Bowl. And that partnership is obviously massive to the game and to the future of the game. So, but I first want to know, what was it about this opportunity that intrigued you most? What are your day-to-day responsibilities, and I guess what made it so appealing?
Well, moving from NFL personnel to, to general managers, jobs and everything else. The one thing that, I like about this is the stability of it. I was with the Cowboys for 18 straight years, and I love that stability. Well, in college football, as you know, I mean, you get fired tomorrow, whether you do a good job or not. That was one of the most attractive pieces. The other part was, the people that surround this game and the city of Mobile, how much they've, embraced this game over the years, and, that type of thing really intrigued me. I wanted to live in a home again where I actually owned it and, count that as my home for quite a while. That's the biggest reason. Being down south again, I can't even tell you, I can't even see straight because, I've been a Southerner most of my life now, and it's good to be back down here. It's great to be in a coastal city. It's close to family. There's a lot of pieces that checked a lot of boxes for me, Greg and Cole. It really did. And again, I didn't really truly know what this job entailed, but it's a lot more civically driven than I knew. My day-to-day varies depending on the time of year. We've already got, and again, we're changing the name of the watch list. It's going to become more selective. We were already got, probably 80% of the board ready to go. We'll have the invites, not invites, but like I said, I hadn't put it out there yet, but the watch list name will change. It'll become smaller, more selective. That'll come out in middle August like we always have. Have I watched everybody I wanted to watch? No, because of the move, because of everything that's been going on with Panini, because of so many other things. I just hadn't had time to do exactly what I wanted to do yet. And we also hired 3 new, full-time people. So we're trying to get them up to speed. By this time next year, maybe I'll get a little time off in July. You know what I mean? But I'm not going to this year. So long answer. Sorry. A little long-winded on that one.
Drew Fabianich, the Panini Senior Bowl Executive Director, with us on the Higginbotham Hotline. So this new partnership with Panini, I think it's a perfect match, specifically because you have a lot of guys that are going from college to the NFL, and from the hobby standpoint, that's where a lot of guys make a lot of noise, and there's an easy partnership there. But it goes a little further. I mean, the logo redesigned, the color scheme redesigned. This is a lot more than just putting a different name in front of the title of your game.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And it is a 5-year deal. And as one of the executives that came down yesterday and was at our, event kickoff and the reveal, he said it's a 5-year minimum deal. So I would have a feeling that within probably a year or two, we're probably going to roll some more years into that. Because I think you're right. It is a perfect partnership. And when they brought it up to me, I was like, great, because I like that it's sports related. I like the visibility that Panini holds with these college athletes and the pro athletes and and as far as the global, memorabilia, of this company brings to the table. I think they saw that what they got out of just being the practice sponsor, I think, is why they actually approached, the board on, we'd like to be the title sponsor. And like you said, I can't think of a better partner. I really can't. And I think the visibility will help us a great deal because, put it this way, they're in the business of acquiring players. Well, so are we. And I would hope that this would actually help us keep guys in the game and keep them playing because it's still important to play in this game. And going back to the Hall of Fame inductees, that every single one of them, when they talked, about their experience here, every single one of them said that playing in this game helped their career and their draft stock immensely. So again, I think that everything ties together, but the biggest piece to me is this is a sports related sponsor.
How would you assess the kind of the NFL's involvement? I know that it's somewhat dependent, somewhat independent naturally. I know that the NFL obviously greatly supports the game. It's vital to the evaluation process. But in your day-to-day, how active is the NFL in making sure that they continue to promote this as a destination to be evaluated?
I don't think they're involved day to day, but I also don't think that they're, doing anything to hurt this game. I think they're thrilled to death with how much this community has embraced this game, and it's been a sellout for the last 2 years. So again, what other all-star games are out there that actually put that many butts in seats, that actually embrace this? Because I've seen all-star games when I was, on the NFL personnel side. I mean, cities changed, these games changed every year because nobody ever supported it. I mean, it's like you go to, flipping, Tampa. Were there a lot of people at that bowl game? No, there weren't. And I think it's important for the league to understand that, and that's why the NFL Network carries this game and probably will end up continuing to do so because we're in negotiations with them right now. So, and again, I kind of get where you're coming from, but they're not, put it this way, they're not in day-to-day business. And do I have to check with them on every decision that I make? No, I do not. But I actually do have to talk with them about certain partnerships that they may carry as far as advertising goes, as far as sponsorship goes, because we can't cross over into some of the things that they already work with. Does that answer the question, Greg?
Yeah, absolutely.
Drew Fabianich, the executive director of the Panini Senior Bowl, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. I understand that you haven't been in this seat very long, but you have been in a seat that now resembles more of what college football is heading towards than what it has been in the past. How do you feel like the changing landscape of college football will either affect your game, or how might you need to adjust to how college football is changing to maybe continue to better your game?
I think that you always have to adjust, and being in that seat, like you said, being a GM for 3 years, college football changes every 5 minutes now.
Yep.
And you have to adapt. And if you don't adapt, then you get left behind. Well, I think that's the same for our game, because who knows with the eligibility rules, all of a sudden there may be, you're a junior college guy, you get 2 more years. You're a Division II guy, you transferred, you get 2 more years. There's going to be, because now the COVID year was finally over last year. Well, now does the class reduce, or with all these new eligibility rules and maybe the changes in the NCAA later on in the next couple of years, what's your class going to look like? Is it going to be scouts go into the school, and instead of doing 12 players that could be draft eligible, will they have guys that are sticking around for 2 or 3 more years and not making a decision? The landscape I think that you're talking about is, why would a quarterback that's a 5th-round quarterback jump into the draft when he knows he can stay at the school, for possibly 2 more years and make more money than he'll ever make in the NFL? Is that kind of where you're going with that, Cole?
A little bit, yeah. And then maybe I don't know, from a scouting perspective of, guys be in different places, for shorter periods of time. Does it change how you look at them, how you view them? Obviously, we've seen the age requirements and the length of time that guys have been in school or have left in school. That's changed over time. So I just didn't know maybe what was next that you looked at and said, because of college football going here, we've got to look at this from a different angle or a different perspective.
I think we just have to expand into more so that junior class. I mean, not so much for the juniors that are early outs, but kind of be ahead of that and to really track the guys once they leave to go to another school and hopefully have those, on the list for the quote watch list that like I said, I'm going to change the term of that, to be kind of ahead of it. And as far as, that goes, I think that's all you can do, because again, it's going to keep changing. And what I'm worried about is I think there's probably going to be an antitrust pretty soon about when you can't force a guy to leave after 10 semesters when he's making a living. As long as he's in school and making a living, I think there's going to be a lawsuit coming out. I really do. So there may be guys that are 25 years old still playing in, college ball as long as coaches want to keep them around. That's what I see coming around the corner.
Yep.
So that would really influence, like, all of a sudden you go in as a scout into a school, you want to go from a class of 12 to possibly 30, and you don't even know if 20 of them are going to come out or not. That's where I think it's going to get a little tricky. You're going to have to cover some numbers that I'm probably going to have to spend my staff a little bit, eventually. But right now, I think we can handle the numbers because the numbers are down this year a little bit, and that's because of the COVID year ended last year.
Is it becoming harder and harder to get guys to want to participate in the game? I know they want to participate in the practices. I know they want to do some of that stuff, but how do you make sure that the game is still widely participated in when guys are naturally just less inclined to do things like that nowadays?
Well, and I don't know if it's just the agent that's pushing that, or I don't know if it's the player that doesn't want to play in that. I think it's because a lot of players really truly believe that those back end bowl games are really not valuable to them as far as as a quote NFL evaluation, which is half true. I think. Now, the playoffs, those are important. Well, I also think ours is important because, again, you're playing the best against the best. And every time, and I'll go back to Bill Parcells' term when we were sitting there watching, players. Well, who do you play against? Be like DeMarcus Ware. Well, he had 4 sacks against Marshall. Okay, that's great. Well, how do you do against such and such? Well, guess what? He didn't really play against a lot of big-time competition until he came down here. And when Bill saw him down here, he goes, oh, yeah. He's like, that's the biggest piece to me. So you have to sell the player on how it benefits them, not just to play, but the financial piece of it. Because as you guys know, I mean, one-on-one pass rush is a defensive drill. And the defense should win 90% of the time. One-on-one receivers versus DBs, the offense should win 90% of the time. It's not a game situation. It's important to see, but is a game situation where you're playing against the best within a scheme. So I'll give you the perfect example, like the Zabel kid that came down here last year.
Yep.
The league said he was probably a late 3rd, early 4th round player. He practices really well. He shows up really well in one-on-one. He plays really well in the game. He goes in the back end of the 1st round. Well, if you take the back end of the 1st and top end of the 4th, and you say, guess what? In a 4-year contract, that's a $12 million difference because of the way he practiced and the way he played in this game. So, again, I got to be a salesman, not just to the agent, but to the player. But I also have to give them facts. And the other fact that the agents always throw up, well, there's a chance of injury. There's a chance of injury at flipping practice. There's a chance of injury walking across the street. There's only been 1% of the players in 10 years of this game that has been seriously injured to where it could have possibly affected their draft status. So that's kind of the easy out for a lot of people, but I think it's you know the word I'm gonna use, but I don't think it's true. So again, sorry about being long-winded. I kind of thought there's about 6 different ways to answer that question.
Well, I am the 1%, unfortunately. I broke my hand in the Senior Bowl, and I'd still play. You know what I mean? And it's not because Did it impact my draft stock? Perhaps a round or two. Did it change my life financially? No. Did it change anything for me? No. I was proud to wear my team's helmet for the final time. Like, I was proud to play in the Senior Bowl with the long history and tradition of great players that had been there before me. It was a great honor to have that opportunity. So, yeah, like, I hated leaving Lad Peebles in a cast, but ultimately,
But you do it all over again.
I would do it again. And I think and granted, I was not professionalized at that point, and I know a lot of these guys are. Just from speaking from my own perspective, it was an honor to have that invite. And I have only a couple jerseys that I keep. The Senior Bowl is one of them. You know, it's kind of a cool opportunity as an Alabama player to play in that game. So I don't have any regrets, and am the 1%. So just speaking from my own personal experience.
Sure. But here's the other piece of it too, Greg. I mean, here's what everybody asks in a draft room. Everybody, when you're in draft meetings, does he love to play the game? Okay. Well, guess what? If you don't, you're not going to be as successful. It's true. I mean, coaches ask that all the time. I don't have to press this guy. I don't have to beat him with a Louisville Slugger every day to get him going. He loves to play in a game. And I give the perfect example. Des Bryant, if you said, hey, I'm playing in the parking lot, we're playing a pickup game in the parking lot in 20 minutes, his ass is there. And loved to play, loved to practice, and it showed. And again, I always ask this question, does he love to play? And coaches would go, when you're visiting schools, they go, oh, yeah, he does. I say, give me one example. And if they paused for like 2 minutes, you went, okay, well, he really doesn't, And I think wanting to play in games and show that, it matters to you is important to the league. It's important to the business because it shows them that, hey, this investment's going to be a good investment because, we won't have to push the buttons to have this guy want to be a part of this. So that's the other piece to me. And again, do you love to play? And you love to play, right?
Absolutely.
Both of you did.
You don't get enough chances to play. It goes too fast.
Yeah. And put it this way, they're not even asked to play an entire game here because it's too deep. And guess what? They play maybe 2 quarters. They play maybe a max of 40 snaps. So again, it benefits them to play in the game. And like I said, every single inductee said that, at the Hall of Fame deal this year. And I'm going to post that later on, and I'm going to debut on X today because I wanted to wait on the Panini thing to clear. And there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to put out that I hope is taken in by the player and the agents. And I'll deal with agents. I've been dealing with agents for years, and for every, guy that I know is not going to let a guy play in this game, there's going to be 6 more that will because they understand the value of this. And again, this is the first piece of it. Like I said, the draft starts in Mobile. This is the first time these guys really take a full big-time look at players. They get to interview them. And that's the other thing. I'm changing the schedule of, the day and to make this more player-friendly, to make it more personnel-friendly, to make it more, coach-friendly because I don't know if you guys know this or not, but me being coming from the coaching side and then being in personnel, this used to be kind of the unofficial NFL coaches convention down here until the interviews changed to all night long from 7 o'clock to almost 10 o'clock at night. They stopped coming because they said, well, we'll get them at the train station, at the combine, or we'll get them somewhere else. And now I'm freeing up a lot of time to where these guys are going to be really thrilled to come back down here and be part of this. And the coaches will be more interested in it too. So I digress. I went somewhere else, and sorry about that.
No, it was all good. We just wanted a little more clarity on you and being in this role, being in this seat. We hadn't had a chance to catch up with you since you got it, so we're glad you joined us. I'm sure we'll catch up with you again at SEC Media Days, and then obviously with this new partnership. And you brought them up, so if you could just tell the folks at Panini to send us a box of maybe National Treasures or Immaculate, we'll be all good. We'll be fine, and everything will be normal there. Okay, and we'll be good. But,
nicely done,
Drew.
Nicely
We appreciate the time. Looking forward to meeting you in person in Atlanta for SEC Media Days. We'll catch up again there. Congratulations.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time too.
Absolutely. Pretty cool to talk Senior Bowl, Greg, where it's going to go, what it is. I think he has some interesting viewpoints there on parts of the game that need to be, like the calendar. I'm interested to see where he goes with that, how he wants to change that up, the schedule a little bit. I agree. Make it more player friendly. Make it more personnel friendly. Why would you not? To the best of your ability.
You should. I think any way
it's
you
for
can,
them. I mean, it makes sense.
I
So
mean, it makes perfect sense to me. But
and he's got a great background for this role and with specifically where college football is headed and where it's going. I think he'll be much more relatable now to a lot of today's college football players, some of the new personnel in college football. And as we just said with Matt Zenitz at the beginning of the show, a lot of college football front office folks are moving to the NFL.
Yep.
So that's even more of an advantage because they know the importance of that game, what it means, what it is. And I loved hearing you say just how much that meant to you to play. It was a goal of mine. It was something that I really wanted. Didn't get the invitation. I was pretty banged up late my senior year. I don't think it would have made sense for them to bring me down there. I wasn't going to be able to play because I had surgery the day after my last game. But I think if you grow up in this state, you know what that game means and you want to be a part of it. And
no question.
We love being a part of it. We love talking about it. And, it's something cool that we have. I'm glad it's going to stay in our state for a while. I want it to stay here forever. I don't think everything needs to be at the biggest, baddest place on earth. Like some places can survive in other areas and be just fine.
Yeah.
But appreciate Drew hopping on. Drew Fabianich, the new executive director of the Panini now Senior Bowl. All right. When we come back, we've talked about some records that may or may not be broken. We'll discuss some right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. So we brought up Tony Gwynn a little bit earlier in the show, and I wanted to go through a couple of things that I found because I had a list that Paul Feinbaum used, I believe yesterday, day before, of unbreakable college football records. Tony Gwynn hit 338 in his career.
That's just absolutely absurd.
Reached base safely nearly 34% of the time in almost 9,300 at-bats. So to put that in perspective, only 15 other players in the history of baseball hit better than he did. Now, the career batting average is great, but the consistency is what sort of sets him apart. He had a 5-year run where his average was above his career average. And he was pretty close to 400. I believe it was 1985, 86. He hit like 398. Never pulled it off. He hit below 300 in his rookie year. He did not finish below 300 again. Now, this is one that just, you hear it and it's just not real. For Tony Gwynn's career batting average to go below 300, he would need to add 1,183 hitless at-bats to his total.
How many? 1,000?
1,183.
183. You know how dumb
Basically,
that is?
that's 2 seasons, essentially. So he'd have to play 2 more seasons, not get a hit, to dip his career average below 300.
Is that good?
Feels pretty good.
I just don't feel like that's something that would... I don't feel like he could go 2 seasons without getting hit. Even if you watch the movie Mr. 3000, like he, after many years, was able to generate 3 hits.
Bernie Mac of all people.
What about
Sick
Mr.
movie.
Baseball? He had to go
Tom
to Japan.
Selleck?
He had to go to Japan to do it.
That's true.
He got a hit holding the barrel of the bat one time.
Imagine that.
My ridiculous kids that act like they're going to do that all the time. I'm like, you're not Mr. Baseball. Flip the bat around. They're like, who? Never mind.
You telling me you're not watching that?
We hadn't watched it yet. No, I don't know if it's friendly enough
It's
for them.
not.
Probably
I actually
is.
looked at it the other day. It's
Okay.
like, put on a baseball movie. It's like, well, let's just try one we haven't seen. I've seen Sandlot 700 times, seen Rookie of the Year 742 times. Let's mix it up. Oh, Mr. Baseball, heck yeah. Pulled it up. Not appropriate for children.
I wonder why. There's like one makeout scene, I think, but it's not.
Yeah, but making out with a mustache like that.
It
Highly
does get some people going. Gwynn's career against Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz. Maddox 355 wins, Glavine 305 wins, Smoltz 213 wins. Obviously, then became a reliever. He was 39-94 against Maddox. Did not strike out.
That's impressive.
30 of 99 against Glavine. 2 strikeouts.
2.
2's a lot.
32 for 72 against Smoltz. 1 strikeout. He hit 381 against those 3.
That's insane.
381 against those 3. 3
You know,
strikeouts in 287 appearances against those 3
against
pitchers.
the best in the game.
Built different.
It's different.
I mean, so he played 20 years. 16 years, he played 100 games or more. You think about now with, load management, and then, one thing he didn't have either was the ability to DH. He played in the National League
Yeah.
when there was no DH in the National League.
He probably would have played a lot longer.
The guy just, I'm telling you, when you look at the numbers and you dive into
He comes
them
up a
further,
lot when it comes to like dumb things from a baseball standpoint. If he played for an organization that anybody paid attention to, you put him on the Yankees or the Dodgers or the Giants or the Cubs, like you put him on any organization that
Yep.
people paid attention to, it's ridiculous. It's unfortunate.
Yes, it is, because he deserves to be mentioned as one of the greatest baseball players of all time, and he's rarely mentioned there. And it's
Ever.
because he didn't hit home runs. It's literally the only reason.
Well, if there's one thing I've been told is that you're trash if you don't go deep a lot. And even if you do go deep
His
a
exit
lot,
velo wasn't good enough.
even if you do go deep a lot, you're still trash. Like Babe Ruth.
3,141 hits, 135 home runs. He had 1,138 runs driven in. He was a 15-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove winner, 7-time Silver Slugger Award winner. He won the NL batting title 8 times. The dude was just insane. Completely insane.
I do feel like winning it that many times does make you pretty good.
By the way, he also played basketball at San Diego State.
So he's just
So
an
he
athlete.
played more than one sport?
Athlete.
How can you do that? I always thought you had to specialize super early.
No.
Yeah, he specialized in being a badass pretty early.
Confirmed.
I mean, there are just certain guys that need more love, that need more credit, need more run. Tony Gwynn, one of those guys. He just deserves more credit. Guy was unbelievable. Do you think also too that he was just too nice?
Probably.
I think it's a big part of it. He just like people don't want to talk about the super nice guys.
You want
He
the
didn't
bad
make
guys?
a lot. He didn't make a lot of noise. He didn't rattle cages. He didn't have a lot of drama. So
Just showed up, did his job.
and did it better than a lot of other people.
Not bad.
Nope. 338 career average, 17th all time. Highest of any player who began his career after World War II. Highest since Ted Williams retired in 1960 with a 344 average. They are the only ones of the top 17 to play after 1938. Top 17 batting averages ever, 2 played after 1938. I mean, are we going to see the only player that I have seen since then that I felt like could have had a chance to break into that would have been Ichiro.
Ichiro.
The only one.
He's the only one. Ichiro was filthy. How many straight years of 200 hits?
All.
Imagine if he got over here at like 19. He guy had 5,000 hits. Like, it was absurd.
Probably could have played majors at like 17 here too. Ever since MLB began tracking the statistic in the early 1990s, Gwynn holds the 2 highest 2-strike batting averages at 302, which is 40 points above second place. Wade Boggs is next at 262.
262.
I would have never even thought that was a real number that people kept up with. 2-strike batting average. He hit 300 with 2 strikes.
Protecting the plate, baby.
I wonder how many balls he fouled off in his career.
Oh, gosh.
That's a number that I
Think
don't know
about
if
how
you could
frustrating
find.
it is. You think you're in great shape as a pitcher, and then within 2 seconds, you're sitting there thinking to yourself, well, what the heck? Now he's on second. I'd like to know how many 2-strike, 2-out on base. His on base percentage, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
Here's a little bit more perspective. Since 1975, Gwynn is one of only 2 players that batted 300 in a season while striking out at most once every 25 at-bats. Struck out 434 times his entire career, which averaged out to once every 21 at-bats or 29 times every 162 games. He also became more difficult to strike out later in his career. He struck out 3 times in a game once. I think Canseco had like 54 strikeout games. The weirdest part is he didn't walk a lot.
No.
He drew more walks than strikeouts in every season, except for his rookie year, though he's not considered a power hitter. Opposing managers chose to intentionally walk him on a regular occasion. 203 intentional passes in his career.
203. That doesn't seem like that many, actually.
Almost 50% more than his career home run total, which you would normally intentionally walk a guy because they had the ability to hit a home run. I mean, we walked Bonds with the bases loaded, for God's sake.
Probably the right move, too.
That's right.
I mean,
They won the game. It was absolutely the right move.
a genius.
Have you seen the Chipper Jones video floating around about Bobby Cox talking about Bonds when they played in San Francisco one year? It's unbelievable.
Really?
Yes, because I think they walked him 8 out of his 10 at bats the first 3 games of the series. And Bobby Cox basically told the whole staff, do not throw him anything even close to that he can hit. Put him on base every time. And Chipper went into the numbers. I think he saw 3 hittable pitches in 4 games. And then the last game, he hit a go-ahead home run on one of the 3 pitches that he saw that was hittable.
How mad would
into
you be?
McCovey Cove.
How mad would you
He
be?
said
This is
Bobby Cox was
insane.
literally on fire. He's like, it's the maddest I've ever seen him. He's like, we talked about one thing for this series, and it was do not throw that guy the ball over the plate.
Ever.
And the game's on the line in the final game of the series, and we throw him one pitch over the plate, and he hits it in the water. It's literally in the ocean.
Steroids.
Fun to watch.
You think? I mean, you really think about how ridiculous that is, all things considered. It's just some of the numbers with some of those guys there in the early 2000s are just ridiculous.
Here's one more for Gwynn. Over, what was it, 3,100 hits? How many do you
Yes.
think were as a DH?
I'm going to say.
Now, keep in mind, interleague came in a little bit later in his career.
I'm going to say 9.
I was like 25.
6.
We were both too high.
6.
That's insane.
He's one of 5 players with more than 500 doubles and fewer than 500 strikeouts in his career. 5 players ever done it. You do anything in Major League Baseball that's a positive and only 5 people have done it, you're doing some things right.
I'd say that's hard to do.
I'm making my kids watch Tony Gwynn highlights today.
Are there a lot of like real highlights?
Oh, I'm sure YouTube has all kind of stuff where he's just pegging the ball to the opposite field all the time.
Yeah.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Dave in Hoover wants to talk Tony Gwynn. Welcome in, Dave.
Hey, you guys ever seen when Francoeur, Glavine, Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz, and Chipper are in the booth doing the game? Y'all watch?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, you need to do it, man. It is hilarious. They'll have a guest in there, and they all talked about Tony Gwynn. And Glavine and Smoltz said, yeah, between you and I and Maddox, I think in 10 years we struck him out twice between the 3 of us.
It was 3.
And, yeah, something like that. And but anyway, so Google John Smoltz getting hit at the plate. It looks like a sniper hit him. He got hit in the lower back, and he threw his elbows back, dropped to his knees, and fell over like you really thought a sniper hit him. You thought he was dead. and they show stuff like that, bloopers during the game.
Yeah.
But that is they did it once a year for 3 years, and now they're doing it like 5 games a year. There's so much demand to get them guys back in the booth. But it is so funny. But Google that. You can do it right now. Google John Smoltz getting hit by a pitch and getting roasted by Chipper Jones. You will not stop laughing for 6 months.
Okay.
I'm in.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
In fairness, I do think getting hit by a pitch, regardless of what position you play and how,
it's not enjoyable.
I think I'm out on that. Like, I'm not going to just throw myself in front of a hockey puck. I'm not going to throw myself into a baseball. Like, you can have that. Does that make me soft? Perhaps. But that would not be fun. I can't think of many more things at this age I would rather do less.
Camping.
In an actual tent, though.
In a real tent. I would.
Correct.
That's one. I think running a 400-meter hurdle. As someone that at one point did run a little bit of hurdles, we did 300 in high school.
You're not stepping in front of like a Ben Joyce fastball?
I just remember when I was like in peak
106?
physical condition at 180 pounds in high school, running 300 hurdles was the hardest thing you could do. And now watching people do 400 hurdles and they're running like 41, I don't think I could get around the track. I'm hitting the 4th hurdle and I'm done. I'm out. Couldn't do that.
I got a couple more dumb ones for Gwynn on the other side. Before we go to break, though, how many times do you think you hit 350?
6.
Let's say 4.
7.
It's insane. I thought 6 was going to be really
like
aggressive.
An egregiously large number.
That was really
not enough.
I thought that was really aggressive.
All right, we'll be back right after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I have a couple of more completely dumb Tony Gwynn numbers. You're going to have to wait for those at 9:43. One thing you never have to wait for, though, is your dental care.
That's because Family Dental has you taken care of to the urgent care office. You can be seen the same day in several locations to make it easy on you in Hoover, Fultondale, Homewood, Alabaster, and in Trussville. Go and see Family Dental today. They can get you in the same day. They can see you on Fridays and Saturdays, accepting most insurance plans and patients of all ages. So highly recommend going and checking them out by giving them a call at Family Dental, 874-9605. That's 874-9605.
All right, a couple other things that they're just completely stupid here. Only major leaguer to win 4 batting titles in each of 2 separate decades. What do you think he hit his last 10 seasons?
Oh, gosh.
I mean, most guys' last 10 seasons, you're on your way down. You're hanging on for a year or two.
I would bet.
3.8.
Yeah, I would bet his last 10 seasons, probably 310.
He hit 351 over his last 10 years.
So he got better with age.
Basically.
Like a fine wine.
Yep. 6 times he led the National League in batting average and hits in a season. 5 times he reached the 200 hit milestone. We talked about a couple of individual seasons. 94, he hit 394, but over 400 plate appearances. How many times do you think he struck out over 400 plate appearances, hitting 394 in 1994?
I'm going to say, gosh, like every time I try to guess something that's absurd, I underestimate and or overestimate. So here I'm going to say like 7.
I'll say 26.
19.
So we're in the middle.
That's insane. That just doesn't make any
It's
sense.
To put it in
ridiculous.
perspective, Bobby Witt Jr. led Major League Baseball in batting average last year. He had 308 appearances.
308.
Yeah. And Gwynn hit over 400 and struck out 19 times. It's like it gets more insane the more you look into it. Like the deeper dive you take.
Are we approaching the point for you where Tony Gwynn's one of your favorite players of all time?
I have been an admirer of his work for a very long
You
time,
have
but he's
been
one
a
of the
huge supporter.
He's one of those guys though that just I think the further you look into it, the more you have to respect it. And if you don't, I don't know what's wrong with you. I really don't.
I don't. But is anybody not?
I just don't think a lot of people know how good it was because the things that he was doing were not as appreciated the way that they should have been, specifically towards the end of his career.
Yeah, that's fair.
And there's a steroid era. There's home runs. How far could you hit it? How many home runs could you hit? And look at some of the guys that he was batting against. Some of the all-time greats on the mound.
It was a different time in pitching too. Where how many precision pitchers are there?
Well, and by
nowadays?
the way, he did a lot of it in Jack Murphy Stadium, which wasn't like a great place to play. I mean,
You
that
don't
was
say.
a dump.
Are you sure?
Pretty much.
Pretty safe. Pretty safe bet that it was not a wonderful place to go and get the reputation that you need.
One other fact I did not know that he was from Tennessee. I did not know
Really?
that.
Where's he from?
Where does it say he grew up? I can't find that.
It doesn't say the city.
Doesn't say the city, but it did say that he's from Tennessee.
Interesting. I would never have guessed that. I did
Gallatin.
not know that. Gallatin, Tennessee. All right. It's over by Knoxville, isn't it?
Somewhere over there.
I think it is.
It's right over there in Tennessee.
Gallatin,
North
Tennessee?
Central Tennessee.
Yeah, it's northeast of Nashville.
Population 44,000.
Pretty good size.
There you go. Now
I
y'all know.
knew I'd driven past it at some
Yeah, you
point. Right
have.
up I-65.
Right through there.
Yeah,
Right
definitely.
through Gallatin. I didn't know
It's
where
right off 31.
where Gallatin was.
If you've driven here from Louisville and or Lexington, you've gone through Gallatin.
I have.
Yeah, Cole's familiar.
Unfortunately.
You're familiar.
Fortunately, not made the drive too many times.
You
But
didn't stop over in Gallatin?
not a ton, no. Mm-mm.
Should have.
But when I did, I was in a truck from Royal Buick GMC. Over 50 years, my friends at Royal have been helping our friends and neighbors experience how car buying should be. Right now, get financing as low as 0% approved credit on select models through June the 30th. Certain restrictions apply. 4 dealerships, 1 location. Unmatched selection and savings. Royal Buick GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 of Vestavia. From sales to service, the team at Royal can help you find that new ride and keep you rolling. When it's time to start searching for your next vehicle, all 4 stores in one location means you can get behind the wheel for a test drive without driving all over town. And when they say for every ride there's Royal, they mean it. If you're shopping for that very first ride or your dream ride, go see my friends at Royal. Royal Buick, GMC, Royal Volkswagen, Royal Automart, Volvo Cars of Vestavia Hills, all at the corner of I-65 and Highway 31 in Vestavia. Online, royalautomotive.net. When we come back, I do have a singular bad box score of the day right after this on Mac and Cube in the morning. 9:54 Wednesday, June 25th, Jox 94.5. Gusty Ghouls and the Gusty Ghouls Group want to help you get into a new home. They've done it for over 3,000 home buyers and sellers in the greater Birmingham area. Go to GustyGhoulsGroup.com today. Call 205-542-1996. See what the Gusty Ghouls Group can do for you. They've helped family members of mine. They can help you. Over 850 5-star Google reviews. It's easy. Brokered by eXp Realty. They know the market. They know the buyers. They know the sellers. They know what your home is worth. GustyGhoulsGroup.com. Go today and start packing. All right, bad box score of the day. I feel like this is what the segment was created for.
This exact one? Well,
it's up there.
Lately, you aren't giving us just the every day we're getting one. So I know when you have one, it's good.
Yeah, I know you don't like this segment, and so we've had some complaints about it.
I do when it's insane.
All right, well, then I'll offer you up Team USA Girls U16 basketball team. Or 16U. Actually, it's U16.
Is Caitlin Clark on the team?
No, she's actually 1 for her last 23 from 3, so she wouldn't have been able to help in this game. They took on Panama over the weekend. Team USA just snuck past the Panamanians. 131-12. Let's take a deeper dive into it. Your rebounding differential for the game, 53-11.
Okay.
Quadruple up.
Offensive glass was only 26-6.
Okay.
Quadruple up.
Team USA did have 39 assists. Panama had 4.
That'd be a 9 up.
Panama did take the ball away with 4 steals in the game. Team USA had 31.
7
That's
up.
just bully
10
ball.
blocks for Team USA. Did not have a block recorded for Panama in the game.
What?
71 points off turnovers for Team USA. Not a single point off turnovers for Team USA. Team USA turned it over 5 times in the entire game. 38 fast break points for Team USA. Not a single fast break point for Panama.
Do you get benched if you turn it over? And you're one of the 5?
Your second chance points, 25-0. Your points in the paint. Now, size probably a little bit of a factor in this game. 72-2.
They had 6 offensive rebounds, and they didn't have a second chance point.
It wasn't just the starters, though, Greg. Team USA outscored the Panama bench 75-0.
We just have more NIL. Depth.
Depth is key.